All right. So having said that, just a quick introduction about myself and how we'll go about this session. So the idea is that to have a broad but in-depth overview. So all of you probably read the title of the session, Deep Summary. Obviously, some people are thinking, what the hell does deep summary mean, right? It came out because of some extensive time and effort that I put into the crypto blockchain space in the last few weeks. I had chanced upon this about 4 or 5 years back and got very excited about it. And then, well, life took over and I just dropped it. And for really no particular reason, but about 2 months back, started looking into it, got again fascinated. And this time I decided to do a much deeper dive. And I was really blown away with what I'm reading, what I've been, and the sort of person I am. I don't like to just do the superficial stuff. I like to really go deep into understanding what it means for me, what it means for the world. Is there something that I should be aware of? How does it affect my life and things like that? And the more I read and the more I researched and the deeper I went down the rabbit hole, it is a proverbial rabbit hole, the more I got fascinated and inclined. And as I started talking to friends and family and all that, I realized that there is a lot of, everybody's heard these three words, blockchain, crypto especially, and of late, metaverse. But when you really ask beyond the first two questions, really nobody seems to know what it is. And that was me too. So I thought, okay, there must be lots of folks like me, and let's see if we can do something about starting a conversation about this. Because I really do believe, and let me be very upfront about this, I really do believe that this is going to radically change the world in the years ahead. And probably none of us are really prepared at what's coming. It's inevitable. So most of us, if anything, have looked at the investing side. We've done something with the tokens and made money, lost money, and all that. And while sure, that is important, the financialization part of it, I think the impact on individuals and society is going to be radical in ways which are simply hard to fathom at this point. I, for one, don't want to be left behind. And the other thing that I realized is that the sophistication, the complexity of even the concepts is so mind-numbing and mind-warping that it's very easy to give up, first of all. Second of all, if one can do this as a group effort and have a group of really serious, committed folks, and I'm not talking about just people who want to watch a YouTube video. I mean, then go watch YouTube. But people want to really engage in meaningful discussions, ask the dumb questions with the intention of getting to the bottom of the subject and connecting the dots, and then really asking, okay, where is this world heading? And for me, it's about preparing for the future, and if possible, participate in it. I'm sure all of us, in many ways or the other, in the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of our lives, have felt that we left behind massive opportunities which were right in front of our noses. Whether it is investing in real estate in Bangalore or in India in the last 10, 20 years, if you do real estate investing now, I'm not sure how much money you make. But if you did 20, 30 years back and just bought any land, you made a fortune, right? If you were an angota chop in real estate, you made a fortune. And the same thing with IT. If you got into BPOs in 1980s or 1990s, you made crores. If you get into IT now, and if you're not a deeply competent person, you really have no chance, right? So it's really being at the right place at the right time and riding the wave. And I really do believe that blockchain per se, I'm not going to say crypto, and I want to make that clear as we go ahead in the conversation, that blockchain per se is where we really need to focus on. Crypto is one of the aspects of blockchain, and I think the public conversation and the public mindset and the mass media definitely has been sort of sidelined and or sort of gone off on a tangent, I would say, right? But having said that, it's not the mass media's job to talk about blockchain. It's just too complicated to wrap one's head around. So if you're really interested, you will do it. If you're not, then you're going to be left behind, right? So that's the little bit about my own interest now. And I have every intention of doing a much, much deeper dive into this world in the months and years ahead. And just setting up the open invitation right now that I'm looking for like-minded folks, right? Of ideally people who are far more competent and knowledgeable than me, but also anybody of deep interest, and let's see what we can do together, right? As you get into this yourself, you will also realize that this is one of those things that is next to impossible, not next to, it is impossible to do alone. It is truly a community effort. It's not even a small group effort. It is truly a community effort to be able to, take advantage of this. All right. Having said that, very quick 2 minutes about me. I'm basically a medical doctor. I did my MBBS and my MD from St. John's Medical College almost, I don't know how long, 25, 30 years back. I've been in Bangalore for far too long, wanted to step out and see the world. And then COVID put a, slam dunk on all the plans. And I've been in the markets, financial markets, for about 20 years now. Started something called the Bangalore Investors Club. If you Google for it, our website is down, so don't bother. Went down a few, I think 2-3 years back. I took a sabbatical from my work about 5 years back, which was supposed to be 3 months. It became 5 years. And in the last 3-4 years, especially, I've been focusing a lot on wellness and well-being. I've gotten deep into Tai Chi and yoga, all by sheer accident. None of these were plans, and they have sort of really transformed my life. So you could say that I have a fairly good working knowledge about healthcare, medicine, allopathy, the world of finance, personal finance particularly, both India and global. At BIC, we used to, and we will start again, offering in-depth programs for people who want to invest and trade on their own, right from very basic introductions to multi-year mentorship setups for people who are really, really serious. It's both a knowledge game and it's also a attitude game. Knowledge is easy to acquire, attitudes are very hard to acquire, and it really requires a different mindset for wealth creation. So that is what we were focusing on BIC, and we'll be back with it maybe sometime this year. All right. So having said that, let's jump into the session. And what you should be seeing on your screen is, Web3, read, write, own. Let me just start with this, because this was not even in the title and the messages that we sent out. We never said Web3. We never said anything about any of this. And some of you are definitely wondering, well, am I in the right session? Yes, you are absolutely in the right session. Crypto, blockchain, and metaverse are part of Web3. But let's not even go into, what is Web3 right now. You see something there written, read, write, and own. Web 1 was all about reading. What does that mean? What it means is, all of you, those if you remember about, I think in the early 90s, you just had HTML text websites. There was nothing else. There was not even a picture. And then there would be something called a link. You click that to get more information. And you basically read what somebody else wanted you to read. It was like a newspaper. The newspaper editor decides what to print in the newspaper. You have no choice as to what you can read, can't read. What is there, you read. If you don't want to read, don't read, right? That was Web 1.0, right? It was just about one-way communication. Web 2 was about write. What does that write mean? It means that's when the blogs came up. You could create content on the web, right? I'm not even talking about you could create websites. You could create content on the web. You could write a blog. It could just be a simple text blog. But for the first time in the world, early 90s, mid 90s, or late 90s rather, you could now put your thoughts, your views out there on the web, and people could see what others were telling. And if you really think about it, this is a pretty transformative moment. Web 1 wasn't. Web 1 was just putting anything which was there in the newspaper and the magazines and anywhere data in an electronic format. But Web 2 allowed anyone who had access to have a voice, to be discoverable by the world, right? And I don't think many of us really have even today grasped the significance of the impact of that on society and on culture and in the way human beings interacted with each other. The thing about being able, for an individual, you did not now need to be a publishing company, you did not need to have a TV channel, you did not need to have mega big bucks. All you needed was an internet connection, a browser, and the ability to type, and you could type whatever crap you wanted, right? So that was Web 2, right? And Web 2 evolved into many, sophisticated variations of it. And I think the best of Web 2 right now is something like YouTube or medium.com, or any place where you can create any content of whatever you desire. Web 2 is also including your own websites and publishing whatever you want with all the sort of visual and audio content that you want. Right, wrong, misinformation, right information, doesn't matter. But Web 2 is about that. However, both Web 1 and Web 2 were led by the tech giants. You had no say in the evolution of the technology. Web 1 and Web 2 were created by whatever, Netscape and Cisco and Microsoft and then Facebook and all these things, names that we are familiar with, right? Google. They became the powerhouses, and they are the ones who actually control, in many ways, we've gone to the extent of saying they're controlling our lives. They program what you see, what you read. It's become completely personalized, and your worldview gets reinforced, and everybody is now living in an echo chamber. And this is driven by big tech, and big tech is driven by profit, right? So we are still in the era of Web 2. Web 3, so Web 1, by the way, again, just to reiterate, was a one-way street. Somebody else decided what you read. Web 2, huge transformation. You now got to say anything and everything you want to the world in any form, text to audio to video. And Web 3 is the next big transformation that is happening as we speak. It already has started about 5 years back and is going to exponentially grow in the decades ahead. And what do we mean by Web 3? Web 3 is ownership, right? What do we mean by ownership? When you write content on Web 2, you don't necessarily get paid for it unless a publishing company is paying you for it. You are some sort of revenue generator, and YouTube shares some ad revenue with you. That's not Web 3, right? That is still driven by the big tech. Web 3 is when you own anything and everything that you create, and you can have your terms and conditions on ownership, on the sale, on the transfer, etc., etc., etc. And we will go more and more into this as we, this talk about blockchain and connect it back to Web 3. So Web 3 is this evolution that is happening, which is going to be completely disruptive, where you is who, you and me as individuals, which is completely separate and distinct from big tech, okay, which is completely separate and distinct from any corporate entity. You are regaining your sovereignty. You are regaining control over what you are and who you are on the net, even to the extent of whether you want to be discoverable or not, right? To the extent of all intellectual property and all, Web 3 assets or ownership. Okay, I'll go into that a little later. Ownership issues that you have on Web 3 are entirely yours, and they cannot be taken away from you by somebody shutting down your website or somebody, the new term today, deplatforming somebody, right? You cannot be deplatformed on the Web 3, right? Very radical ideas, so just bear with me, but this is just an overall introduction as we jump in. All right, great. So let's move on to the next slide. So I will take questions, but I think I will we'll do the questions at the end. Feel free to put them in the chat box, right? But let me just finish the conversation, the presentation. There's a lot of stuff which are quite interesting and need to be interconnected. So let's not have any interruptions, but we will look at all the questions at the end, right? Great, thank you so much. All right, going on. So blockchain, crypto, and the metaverse. This is what you came for, and I'll quickly answer these questions. Obviously, this is not something that can be done in 2 hours or 2 days. The intention of this session is to give a layman a working understanding of what we are talking about when you hear these terms, and understand the impact of that on the real world. I'm not going to get into the tech aspects of it. I'm not the qualified person for that. We would love to have somebody who can translate the hardcore tech jargon into layman English and explain, that would be great if somebody can do that for us later. But for now, we're just going to understand these terms, right? So what are these buzzwords? How the world is being transformed by these technologies. We will look at the massive opportunities that all of us can participate in. What are the various different types of opportunities, not only in terms of investing, but in many, many other forms that I think many people are not really aware of. What are the challenges, the risks, and how do we, go around those things in a top down fashion? What are the resources available? There's so much you can drown yourself in. And definitely a small discussion about some plans that we have at our end, and an invitation for you if you're interested to be a part of that, right? All right. So first, a few disclaimers. None of what I mentioned today is investment advice, right? So please, take everything I say here with a ton of salt. We are not telling you to buy anything or sell anything or do anything for that matter with your life. If you do anything, it's all up to you, right? Alpha, the definition of alpha, the general meaning of alpha in the world of finance is the excess return that you get over any underlying benchmark performance, right? So let's say something like the stock market, whether it's the Nifty or the S&P 500 or whatever, grows, say, about 15% in a year. If you get 25%, then you got an alpha of 10%, all right? If you benchmark against gold and gold did 3%, you are an ultra conservative investor and you did something, and instead of 3% that gold gave you, you got, say, 6%, you got an alpha of 3%, right? So any alpha that you may accrue because of today's session is free. There is no charge. The session itself is free. If you do make any such decisions that give you an enormous return, well, it'd be great. Thank you so much for participating and benefiting from it. And it would be nice to know that yes, something happened and you made a plus, and let everybody know, and give us a party also. Give me a party at least. All right. Okay. Then already many people have, and we've read this, informed and diligent and lucky people, all this will be required, will make millions of dollars, not rupees, right? Or millions of Bitcoins. Millions of Bitcoins is hard, forget it, right? Millions of dollars, right? But the vast majority will completely lose all the money that they have in crypto. And the real reason why the vast majority will lose their shirt and everything else is because they're just doing what is called FOMO. FOMO is what? The fear of missing out, right? You're doing it, you made money, I also want to do it. What you're doing, I have no clue. But because you did it and you made money, I also want to do it, right? And this is what the vast majority of the crypto participants are doing in the world right now. It's just not in India. This is a worldwide phenomenon. We will talk a little later about a coming meltdown in the crypto NFT space, right? That's inevitable. It's going to come. There was one already in the last 2 years earlier to the prior 2 years, 2018, 19, 20 sort of. And there will be another one. And we'll see how many people are still left standing, with their pants up, quite literally. But the question really for each and every one of us here is, will you be one of the informed and the diligent ones or one of the left behinds? That's really the only question. There's really no middle path, okay? Or if there is a middle path, it's neither here nor there, right? And I don't know if you can see the slide on the right clearly. I hope you can. I'll just read it just to put some context into where this whole blockchain crypto stuff is. So this is Twitter feed. A guy's name is Ryan Selkis, and his handle is 2-bit idiot, right? And he says, I'm sick of feeling like we have to apologize for our early stage and walk on eggshells around politicians and regulators. We built a $2 trillion financial market from scratch in less than a decade with absolutely no institutional help and active encumbrances from government, right? So blockchain crypto, the governments across the world today are completely struggling with how to deal with this beast. The policy guys, the bureaucrats have no clue. First of all, I mean, they should be the ones here on the session today, okay? They are not. But they have no clue what blockchain is. They have no clue what crypto is. They can only see the threat that is there to their cushy old age ways of doing things. And, there's pushback across the world, whether it's India or anywhere else. So anyhow, this is sort of Ryan Selk is responding to, this constant poking that happens to crypto enthusiasts and all. Goes on to say, banks give you 0.025% interest on your deposits and front run your trades legally. And DC, which is District of Columbia, Washington, DC grifters overspend and debase your tax dollars while the insider trade stocks with impunity. Now, in case this doesn't make sense, let me take half a minute. We are talking about inflation here. We are talking about printing of money like nobody's business. And that printing of money does not land in your pocket or my pocket. Let's understand that, right? What it does, to put it very bluntly, is go into hard assets whose prices have gone up like nobody's business. And an average so-called common, forget being poor, an average common man cannot afford a decent house anymore, almost anywhere in the world, right? This is one of the outcomes of the debasing of currency across the world. And this is one very, 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 very big demographic and social push back from the young generation. And one of the reasons why crypto has taken on this massive following, especially in the younger population, right? People like me are only now waking up. But if you ask the 20-year-olds, they're like, well, I'm doing crypto. Like, what the hell is that? I don't know. But we need to learn from them. He goes on to say, Ryan Selk is like other early stage transformational tech markets, there are some characters, some bad actors, but mostly it's just brave entrepreneurs and innovators. Don't spit in our face and pretend you're here to save people from us. We started this movement to save people from you. Who is the you? The you are the institutions, the you is the politicians, the you is the central banks, the you is society at risk from centralized draconian power and control, right? Now, if this sounds like a lot and it sounds very radical and all that, well, it is. And I think whether we like it or not, it's coming. It's just a question of those who know it and those who don't know it, right? So you can follow this guy. And amazing what all he says. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that is there on Twitter. I just picked out some gems for the introduction. So let's again, still sitting with some context and get into that. A world without trust, right? Now, this is a picture. By the way, all content here is not mine. I've picked stuff from a lot of resources across the web and put it together for this presentation over the last about 2 months. And I'd be happy to share any specific resources that anybody is looking for. So if you have anything, just put it in the chat box or put yourself on that contact information page, and we'll send out a deck with the resource links for you to pursue later. So this is a beautiful chart which basically talks about the dimensions of trust, and basically is it competence versus ethical, right? And as you can see, governments across the world, this is not anything from India research, this is global research. Governments are perceived to be unethical and very incompetent. Or governments are the most incompetent and most unethical institutions that are there in the world, right? This is based on worldwide surveys, right? Businesses, right? All your corporate guys, the blue chips, whether it is even the Tatas, or any of the corrupt nepotists and all of that, it doesn't matter. Businesses are considered to be competent and unethical, right? There's always this question of every business has some element of non-ethical behavior or processes in it, exploitation of its customers in one form or the other. NGOs are considered to be ethical, but not very competent. Right? NGOs are considered to be very ethical, have the high moral ground, but not very competent in terms of actually delivering on what they say they stand for. And, obviously, NGOs being NGOs, since they don't have their own financing model, they need to sort of bend to the wishes of their donors and contributors. And this is a worldwide phenomenon, right? The media, less said the better nowadays, worldwide, fake media, misinformation, bot media, this media, that media, is unethical and incompetent, right? And there is nothing in this world which is perceived to be ethical and competent. I'm sure that none of you were expecting a discussion like this in, a blockchain discussion, but do think about this, because this is something, like I said, the world is getting changed in ways we simply will find it hard to understand. But is it possible that perhaps for the first time in human history, we could get something which is ethical and competent at the same time in an institutionalized format, right? I'm not talking about individuals. There are many individuals who are very ethical and very competent, right? But institutions being ethical and competent, maybe, blockchain is going to enable that, right? So keep a thought on that. Now, in a world without trust, how does the world look like right now, right? So on the left, we're talking about society and money today, and probably a pretty bleak future. So this is, data which you can find all over the net. Nearly half of the millennials and Gen X said it would take a miracle to retire. These are the first generation in human history that is making less money than their parents are. Every generation in the past has had a better materialistic life, at least, than their parents. In other words, their physical quality of life has always improved over the last several millennia. But it's for the first time, those who were born in the late 1990s, 2000s, and later are actually having to wonder what their futures looks like. You're hearing stories about many millennials staying back with their parents' family in the US, in the West, even in India, which we have gone down a very westernized path of having a nuclear family. How does a 30-year-old afford a 1.5 crore flat? I mean, I don't know how that works anymore, even in India, right? It's just impossible. So you will see this thing. And of course, in Asia, we can always hide under the guise of, joint family and tradition and all that. But at the end of the day, everybody is really concerned about how do I make my means meet? To earn 50,000 or a lakh per month today is not going very far, right? So forget about buying a house. Just paying basic bills for a 1 lakh per month earner is becoming a challenge, right? Now, inflation. I really don't know how much time I want to spend on this. 1 second, where did this go? Okay, what are you seeing now? Are you still seeing the PPT? Windows, okay, I need to bring, okay, 1 second, just give me half a minute and I need to bring up, yeah. Okay. Do you see the screen now? 1 second. Where did sharing go? Yes. Do you see my screen? Right.
Yeah, it's a website.
Yes. The website's name is demoncracy.info. DEMON, not democracy. Demoncracy.info. Please have a look at it in your spare time, a lot more. I'm just going to, run with this very quickly to give you a sense of how much money has been printed by the system since 2020 when COVID happened. All right. This is $100. This is what $10,000 looks like. This is what $1 million looks like. Okay. This is what $100 million would look like, right? This is what $100 million would look like. It'll take 1 year of work for 3,500 average Americans to make $100 million, right? All right. This is what $1 billion would look like, right? By the way, this is 1 billion, all right? This is how much was printed in a day in 2020. $27 billion per day was created by the US Fed only. This is not including the ECB, European Central Bank. This is not including the Japanese Central Bank. This is not including India, right? Only in US printed $27 billion per day in 2020. This is what $1 trillion looks like. There's a plane in the background. I hope you can see that. There's the capital. There's one of those huge multi-axle trucks in the US, and that's what $1 trillion looks like, right? By the way, I don't know if you can read this, but let me read this out for you. If you spend $1 million every day, okay, since Jesus was born, you will not have been able to spend $1 trillion. If you spent $1 million every day in the last 21 years, 2021 years, if you spend $1 million every day, you would not spend $1 trillion, right? Think about it. The actual 2020 stimulus for the US in the US was $2 trillion. How much went to what? That's forget it. Let's move on, right? And then you can go on and say this. And then there's a $10 trillion reserve stimulus package of 2020. And this goes on and on and on. And you can please go ahead and read, right? The inflation that some of you may be, okay, this goes on. Let's not get lost in the graphic and all. What I think a lot of us are failing to understand is this thing about inflation. And I just will say this and I will leave it here. How much was an idli vada dosa in 2020 and how much is a same size idli vada dosa today? How many jobs have been lost? How many corporates have made money? Okay, there's no doubt about that. The stock market has gone up, and the stock market, by the way, has gone up without earnings going up commensurately. If the stock price went up by 100%, earnings did not go up by 100%. And this is again a worldwide phenomenon. This is not just about India. We're talking about US, we're talking about Europe, we're talking about Japan, everywhere. I can give you all this information for anybody who's interested, the details of it. Stock prices have gone up 2x, 3x, 5x without earnings having gone up 2x, 3x, 5x. All right. The average human has actually lost income. Individuals here on this group may have actually been making good money, working from home and all that. But if you go out on an average, people on an average, the money available per individual is down. But the prices of even essential commodities, forget about buying a house, have just shot up like no other business, right? How do you put these two together? An average person earning less, but prices increasing when there's less demand, when there's less gross demand in the economy and prices going up. What is going on? Something is definitely going on, right? Now, without getting into the details and the complex things of connecting the dots and all that, the bottom line is that this money, this trillions of dollars that was printed basically went into hard assets, whether it is stock markets, whether it is art, whether it is land. All right. It never came into the individual. Right. Now, having said that, what is Web3 about, at least on the financial aspect of the world, right? Can you see the PPT again? I think so. Yes? Yes. All right, great. Yes. So Web3 is about the internet owned by the builders and users and orchestrated with tokens. I know that's a lot of mouthful and all, but I will explain this, right? What is Web 1, 2, 3? I already mentioned. But basically, Web3 is the time when individuals will be able to essentially, what do I say? Get rewarded for their participation in the economy. And how this works has already been illustrated with, for example, Brave, they pay you to browse on their browser, right? And if you look at the last point that I'm saying, play to earn, learn to earn. Have any of you heard these terms? Anyone? Has anyone heard these terms, play to earn and learn to earn? Well, if you haven't, then these are the new buzzwords that are there in the Web3, which is you are paid to play. There are games now, one of the hottest games in the world. The players get paid to play the game. When was the last time you paid, or sorry, you earned while playing, cricket in your next to your house? Or you went to school and played. You all through human life, we've had to pay to, we've had to pay to play. You've always had to pay to play, right? Any play except the top sports stars, we know, yeah, Sachin and this and that and Ronaldo, those are the exceptions. That's not the average guy. The average guy always pays to play. And when was the last time you got paid to go to school? Even the concept that, oh, I can get paid to learn something. Yeah, if you're in the corporate and the company is paying you, that's different. Okay, then they will make sure that they give you a bond for working for 5 years and make sure they get 10x out of you and make you work 24 hours. That's not what I'm talking about. How about going to college? How about going to school, and the school or the college is going to pay you to learn what they teach? And if you don't want to learn this, go learn something else. But that other guy will also pay you to learn what he or she is teaching. This is a hard to get concept, and we don't have the time or the bandwidth here to get into this. But I'm mentioning this here to give us a taste of what is already happening in the world, where you are now getting paid to be who you are, right? We've all heard about, if you are getting something free, then you are the product, right? Facebook says that, and everybody, Google says that they want your data so they can sell the ads and all. You're not getting paid for that. Now, what if you get paid for whatever you are as an individual, for whatever you bring to the internet and the value that you bring to that space? And what if you could control what is there, and you could, I don't know, in the future, maybe set a price for who you are and say, only if you pay me, then I will reveal to you what this is. And then if we agree on the terms and conditions, we can go ahead. So Web3 is actually doing that. And this is one of the small examples of what we mean by owning yourself on Web3, right? When you own yourself and you sell something of yourself, it could be your time, it could be your intellect, it could be anything. Is the web paying you? I'm not talking about doing an online class, by the way, okay, where somebody is paying you for an online class. That's transactional, that's old school. This is different. You're going to watch a YouTube video, and YouTube will pay you for watching that YouTube video. If it sounds crazy, it is, right? It is absolutely crazy, because we've never lived a society or a world like that. So to even to say, how does this work, is like, takes some guts to say, yeah, maybe it's possible, because the vast majority of the people are just rejecting this and saying, this is nonsense. Human society has never worked this way. It cannot work this way, and just rubbishing this. Well, I think all of us are doing that. And I was also one of those. I'm making a big mistake when you rubbish away these sort of stuff, right? Okay, next. Let's look at the buzzwords. Blockchain. Right, Malana asked in the beginning, what exactly is blockchain? So let me say a few things here. I'm not getting into tech stuff. There's a lot of excellent short videos on YouTube about what blockchain is, on the technical aspects and stuff like that. And again, if you're on that group at the end, I will send those links to you, which are the good videos to watch. I've done a lot of curating on that. So 5-minute, 7-minute videos. I did think about making them part of this session, but I thought, okay, it's going to just eat away too much of my time. So I'm just going to focus on the core aspects of this so that we can get a sense. And if there's any specific question, really burning question on this at this point, then please ask, because it'll probably be irritating to go back to it later. So on this blockchain issue, if there's a question, just put it in the chat box after I finish. So what is a block? A block is, first of all, any bunch of data that you put into a record, right? So let's think of, let's say, a USB drive, a 1 GB USB drive. You put whatever you want in that: your music, your personal records, your driving license, your passport, your financial records, your educational records, everything you've done in your life is all there on that USB drive. So that is one block. Now, when new data is there, it gets added and it's chained to this additional block. So it is appended and it is done in a time series manner. All right. So as new data comes, it just gets attached to the bottom or the top, whatever it is, of the existing block, and it just takes the data as it comes in. All data is validated and confirmed before being added. So for example, if you say, I want to add to the blockchain that I earned 1 lakh rupees, you cannot just go and put an Excel record there and said, I earned 1 lakh rupees. You will have to prove to the system that you earned 1 lakh, maybe through a bank transaction or a pay slip or something. So this data is validated. That means it's authenticated before it is added to the block. So it's not just any data that can be added, it is validated data, right? Any information can be stored. Anything which is data, which can be converted into bits and bytes, whether it is property records, financial records, health records, education records, transaction records, corporate records, business records, negotiation records, political accords, anything can be added to the blockchain. Anything which is information can be added to the blockchain. That is the thing. Now, this block that you created, all right, is then decentralized, which means it is shared. Now, some of you are wondering, oh, now all my private information is out there. No, not necessarily. There's something called a private key and a public key. All right. I will not get into the details of that, but a public key which is given to the public basically lets the public know that this is authenticated data and this came from this block. If you want somebody to see your specific information, you will have to personally give the private key of the data to that other person. Then that person can use it to see that data inside. But otherwise, the public knows, okay, so it's not so and so, but okay, there is this XYZ individual. We do not know who XYZ is. That is why it is called pseudo anonymous, right? Has got 1 lakh or 1 crore or 10 crores or whatever it is. This person has this asset, that asset, etc. This person has this degree, that degree, right? Again, I'm reiterating this. It is up to the individual to decide whether he or she wants to be identifiable. If they want to remain anonymous, they can remain anonymous. That means you send out your information, but who you are and where you are, etc., is hidden from public view. All right. This data is now stored, storable and viewable, the data, not the identity, by everyone. All right. Now, here's the important thing. When any new transactional data is to be added, other people have to agree to the validity of that data and then chain it to the block which is already been validated. So you cannot just add data without validation. As you add blocks after block after block, you get a chain. So that is why it is called a block chain. So it is a chain of data right from the start of when you started, right to the current situation. And all records, all transactions that happened right from the inception are on the blockchain. All right. One very important thing. Once it is on the blockchain, it cannot be removed from the blockchain. It cannot be deleted. It cannot be modified, right? There is no way to undo. There's no control Z, okay? There is no undo of any information that goes on the blockchain. So before it goes there, there is a validation and a consensus mechanism. And once it is done, it is there permanently and forever, right? And because this is all based on mathematics and code, there is no human decision maker who is there to say, okay, I'll agree to this, I will not agree to this. In other words, nobody can corrupt the system. You cannot bribe the system. You cannot bend the system to your whims and fancies, right? Now, because this becomes distributed and because it is publicly viewable, there is no central authority around who and what this, who owns this data and who is the authority of that data. It is everybody's data. It is everybody's data. Let me give a very, maybe a stupid example, right? There is no blockchain, of course, but who is married to who in society, generally everybody knows. Now, nobody is sending a record out there saying, you know, XYZ is married to ABC and all of that. But generally, okay, everybody says, oh, he and she are married, he and she are married, he and she are married, and that's it, right? It is distributed information. It is shared information. It is decentralized information. You don't go to a central marriage registry to say, to check whether this is somebody is married to somebody. You never ask for somebody's marriage certificate, right? I'm giving an example of how society actually works. right? There is no block of record here. There's only one piece of information. Now, if you want a block, let's take a family. Oh, these 4, 5, 10 children or 1 or 2 children are XYZ children. This one is that one's uncle, auntie, niece, nephew, and all that. There's this family tree that you have. That's a block, right? Is there a record of that? Is there a block of that? Is there a chain of that? No. But if you think about it, it's not there in code, but in actual life, there is. Because you have people who agree, society basically agrees that this one is that one is that one. There's a family ancestry tree that is there. So that is an example of blockchain in the real world, right? Now, based on this blockchain, if there are any questions, please put it here, right? Okay. Based on this blockchain, you get what are called tokens that get issued, which are created by the blockchain itself, right? And this token is a sort of authorization, authentication of the information on the blockchain, which can be used for various things. Now, to give an example of a token is the title deed of a property. Okay, the title deed of a property is not really the the property itself, but it is a statement signifying ownership, which is authenticated and validated by a sub-registrar or some person saying, okay, this is so and so's property. And when a sale happens in a property, you're transferring ownership and then you create a new title for that, right? So this is one use of a token. Now, for those of you who are in IT and all of that, you're using tokens all the time, right? Authentication tokens to identify yourself on a network, on your company, or you have a password is like a token. And if you think about it, if you can give that password to somebody else, it becomes somebody else's token, and then they can use it to get access to what you gave them access to, right? The CVV number at the back of a credit card, you can think of it as a token, right? It is a number which gives access to the processing of some transaction on the credit card, right? Now, this token, suppose the CVV number, this is what credit card, scams are all about. If I could somehow get your CVV number, I have access to your credit card. And this is what gets sold on the dark web, right? The credit card number, the person's age, etc., and that full 16-digit number. And now anybody can do any transaction with it. So all these are, in a sense, tokens. These tokens, now suppose your credit card number, suppose you had a $1 million credit card, and the information about that was tradable, which means the 16-digit number and the CVV number was something that you could, sell. Then what happens? That block of information is now valuable. And because of that value, suppose you put it out to an open market and do an auction, somebody will say, oh, this is a $1 million card. I will pay even $500,000 for this information because I'll earn $1 million out of it. But you're not going to get $500,000 out of a $10,000 credit limit, credit card limit. Making sense, right? So if you can now create a market for this, then you've got various things that you can do with this tokens. So like I said, on the right side, reward tokens of various types, utility tokens, security tokens, asset tokens, and the most well-known are the currency tokens, basically Bitcoin, but also now Ethereum, Solana, and many other things. And there's something called USDT and all that. We'll talk about that in a little while. Okay, so coming back to that slide we saw earlier about the breakdown of trust in the world. This is how the world works today. On the left side, everything is centralized. Everything goes to a central place, a central authority, a central computer, and that authority then decides what to come back and give back, right? This is what you see on the right side is happening, what is called a peer-to-peer transaction. Now, this was very common with torrenting, all right? Web3 is peer-to-peer at a completely different level, which is again a little hard to understand. When I say peer-to-peer, I'm talking about everything peer-to-peer, and I'll talk about some real-world scenarios in a little while. Just bear with me. If you look at this right side, the peer-to-peer thing, is there any one central point of failure or central point of control where somebody can deny access, right? If the first two computers break down, say the internet breaks down or the protocol breaks down or something, that information from computer one to any other computer can be routed through some other network. That's why the internet is such a powerful tool. If one network, one line breaks down, there's always another route to get there. But how about that for everything in society? How about that for money? How about that for data? How about that for privacy? How about that for corporate transactions, etc., etc.? Now, if you can remove the central authority, think about what this really has an impact on, right? There is no one person who has subjective, who can apply their subjective agenda as to what should happen for the participants in that network. Web3 allows this for to happen at a level, again, which, like I said, is hard to imagine, and we'll discuss some ideas about this in a little while, right? So in today's system, you really do not own what you think you own. Someone can always change the record. There's centralized authority and centralized power. What's coming is what you own is your actual possession. You can transfer your ownership to anyone without anyone having to allow for that. And it is power back to the people. So the best example to take is the example of money in a bank. Today, if you have to transfer money, suppose you have to transfer money to Musa. Okay, you have to transfer money to me, or I have to transfer money to you. The way we do it today is you log in, okay, or you give a check, or you go to a e-wallet or whatever, and that is connected to a bank, all right, whether it is ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, or whatever SBI Bank, or it's connected to some wallet, right? Whether it is Paytm and Phone Me or whatever, Pay Me or whatever it is. And I have to tell them to send money to you, or you have to tell them to send money to me, correct? And it is completely possible that for some reason or the other, the system does not work, or they say, no, we will not send it. All right. But you and I are entirely dependent on somebody else, whether it is a bank, whether it is a government, whether it's an institution, whether it is something where they have to say yes, right? Rajesh is saying UPI is down as we speak. Well, there you go, right? Now, UPI is still a central thing, but you can say, okay, UPI is down, I'll go to ICICI and do it directly on their system, or I'll go to Paytm and all. But you're still going through a central system. What if your money, okay, by the way, I forgot to say this. How did I forget? When you look at your money in your bank or in your e-wallet, you're saying it is your money, but is it yours in terms of, is it in your possession? Really think about it. It is not in your possession. It is I have an account with ICICI Bank. So when I log into ICICI Bank, it says, oh, Musa, you have 1 lakh in your account. But this 1 lakh is not in my possession. I've given it to ICICI Bank, and ICICI Bank tells me this is my money, but it is not in my possession. Let's understand this. This is very significant. At any time, ICICI Bank or the government or somebody can say, don't give this money to Musa. Now Musa has to then run around and figure out what the hell went wrong. All right. Then is it really my money? Fundamentally, is it my money? If somebody else, anybody, whether it's an institution or a person, can deny me access to what is apparently mine, then is it mine? So what you're seeing in the system today is a credit which is shown in your favor. But it is supposed to be yours, but it is actually in the possession of somebody or something else. Now, what if money, see, the only way money is yours, think about this, is if cash is yours. If you're actually holding physical cash, then money is yours. Okay, of course, if demonetization happens, then that's a different thing. But if money is yours, or the best form, even to go away from the risk of demonetization, is gold or a diamond or something. If it is in your physical possession, only then it is yours. Now, many of you might be thinking, what's the big deal about this and all that? But there is a huge big deal. And I refer you back to what the millennials and the Gen X are talking about when they talk about the system not working for them and the system actually debasing their life, not only just debasing their money, but debasing their life, right? So coming back, now what if the money, whether it is Bitcoin, whether it is a US dollar tokenized electronically and put in what is called a cold wallet, is yours, and you could transfer that to me without any intermediary involved. What does that mean for you? What does it mean for world? What does it mean for the world? What does it mean for society? This is one of the reasons, or one of the big reasons, why governments and central banks are really starting to worry about, hey, if this takes on, then what happens to how the system works right now? Nobody really knows, but what is clear is that is coming, right? I really wish we had, 1 week to deliberate about this, because each and every point needs to be, you need to take a moment to let it sink in and to understand the impact of this at a transactional level, at a social level, at the institutional level, at a political level, at a fiscal level, etc. But this is definitely coming. So peer-to-peer is direct one-to-one transaction. So if I come to your house and give you a piece of bread, that is peer-to-peer. All right. Just like that, if money is made peer-to-peer, if IP work is made peer-to-peer, then what does it do? And blockchain allows that to now happen. Next, let's look at what are called smart contracts. Today, let's look at how a contract works. A contract, basically, let's say you are an employer-employee contract, or you are buying something and you gave a contract to somebody to make you, I don't know, a table, right? You told a carpenter, make a table. You told somebody, make a house, told somebody, make a factory, whatever it is. It's a contract which is there, right? Today, you and I are completely dependent on a series of things and events to happen to say whether the contract was done as per agreement or not, and whether the counterparty risk will happen or not, whether default will happen or not, whether a fight will happen or not, whether disagreements will happen or not, his opinion versus my opinion, etc. We know how this goes on. All right, we've all had disagreements, whether it is a carpenter at home, or whether it is building a house, or whether it is negotiating a multi-billion-dollar deal, or between countries, or whatever it is, right? And then fights break out, litigation happens, wars happen, bad blood happens, and all sorts of things happen. Now, the idea of a smart contract is that all terms and conditions of the contract are codified. When I say codified, they are made into code on software, on the blockchain. And the rules for accepting whether something was done or not are also codified onto the blockchain. And when what item is done, then what happens to the next item is also codified. And when it is agreed that something is done or not done is also codified. When the payment has to be made, in what blocks, in steps, in bulk, or at the end, is also codified. And this self-executes, it keeps checking upon itself. Now, to give it in a real world example, we've all heard of what is called an escrow account. An escrow account is something where two people go to a third party and say, look, you have to decide whether this guy did his job or not, and then you release the payment or not, right? Escrows are costly. You have to set up stuff, you have to negotiate, it's fees. Then the escrow guy can himself or herself decide to play dumb or idiotic, or can be influenced and all that, right? If you've done anything like having a third party mediate between two people, even that is a pain. But what if all this could be codified? And this is what smart contracts have done. This is what the Ethereum ecospace has done. This is what Ethereum is all about. Ethereum is about allowing people to build all sorts of amazing smart contracts in any which form they like, and build whatever rules they like. It is programmable. Bitcoin is not programmable. Ethereum is programmable. And for the first time, Ethereum showed to the world what is possible with smart contracts, right? So you can learn Ethereum and you can make your own smart contracts using Ethereum technology. It is open source. Anybody can do. So by the way, that's the other big thing about Web3. It's all open source. Anybody can join. Nobody has to have, of course, you need to have some training and technical skills and all that, but it is not restricted to the few or, anything like that. Anybody who is interested can be part of that world, right? Okay. So now you have all these smart contracts happening all over the world. And it's, by the way, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry right now. You have zero risk of defaults. No one has discretionary approval authority. You have to have no follow-ups. All settlements are in code, right? Okay. So what does a world with peer-to-peer and smart contracts in the future look like, right? For those of you who didn't notice, we have a big question mark, and the bottom is the world, the planet itself, Earth, right? What does this mean for banks, financial transactions, property records, business records, social contracts, personal records, data and its authentic? Take about a resume today. You go to an office and they have to say, oh, we have to verify your records. Then you go do some verification. They check whether you really did a university. They check with your previous employer, whether you really worked there. And there's background check after background check after background check. It's a costly business, right? This whole idea of trust. Do I trust the person? The core issue is trust, right? If all of these things could be put on the blockchain, remember, a blockchain is validated. It is one-way street. It cannot be changed, and it is verified before putting it, and it's a public record, right? What does this mean to governments and governance? What does this mean to central banks? What does it mean to banks? How many of you would have bad loans and people saying, oh, that's not a bad loan. They've adjusted, they've, talked to the bank manager and all that. You can't do that anymore, right? You can't fudge anything anymore, because the moment you try to fudge something and put it on the record, you will be caught, right? Fudging can only happen within a small closed group. Fudging is impossible to do in the open, and let's say everybody's fudging it. It will not happen, right? What does it mean for bureaucracy? What does it mean for licensing? Somebody gets a license, somebody else does not get a license. What if all this is blockchain? It's public. What happens to internet infrastructure? What happens to climate change? There's a whole host of issues. This is just one small trickle that I'm talking about. What happens to politics, and what happens to the structure of society, right? This is why I said in the beginning, there is a new world that is happening as we speak, and very few of us will actually be ready for it. And those of us who are, well, early bird gets the worm, as they say, right? I don't have answers, by the way, all right? I know that these are the issues, and I would love to discuss this and get into more engaging conversations, but that's for another time. Okay, moving on. Some of you have heard about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? Very quickly, fungibility means the ability to convert something into something else which is exactly the same. For example, if I take a 100 rupee note and I give you a 100 rupee note, and you give me another 100 rupee note, that is fungible. There is no difference between the 200 rupee notes. The serial number is different, but the value is the same. It could be a new note or old note, doesn't matter. The value is the same. The same 100 rupees will buy me, whichever note I use will buy me the same thing, right? It retains the same value. Something which is non-fungible is something which cannot be exchanged. For example, a degree certificate. I have done BE, you've done BE, we did it from the same college, same year, same exam, everything. But your degree certificate cannot be exchanged for your classmate's degree certificate. It is not possible. It is not fungible. It is unique to you, right? That certificate has your name. And just saying, okay, it is somebody else's now, does not make it fungible. Money, you can do that. Many other commodities, you can do that. 1 liter of petrol this way or that way is the same, right? When you talk about non-fungible tokens, there are many things that you can build on a non-fungible token. So till about 2 months back, somebody asked me, a good friend of mine asked me, what do you think about NFTs? And I said, they're all rubbish. Yeah, this is all nonsense. The world has gone mad. It's all about, $1 million art and this, and somebody's sold some art form for $69 million. Go Google it up. It's just one, picture on a computer screen. And who the hell does that? And this world's gone mad. As I started studying and reading, I realized, man, there's something really, really big with NFTs, because NFTs, again, all this is built on the blockchain, by the way, can be your identity. It can be a digital code, a token, which says this is who Musa is. These are his credentials, all right? You can buy land on the metaverse, which will come to that later. Okay, you can have infrastructure on the metaverse or on the blockchain or on the internet, which will come to later. You can have intellectual property, which is tied to you. You don't have to go to a, the international property or intellectual property organization to say any of those things and say, okay, this and that and all of that, right? Vishal on chat is saying, concerts and virtual real estate. Yeah. So, for me, 2 months back, all this was like, who the hell does virtual? What do you mean by virtual real estate? What do you mean by concerts? I mean, listen, take a headphone, go to this thing, virtual concerts. What nonsense is this? Have you no better work in life? Are you high on hashish or something like that? Is how I used to think, right? But man, I'm not a Gen X and I'm not a millennial. And I can tell you that I don't relate to them at all. But those guys really live in a different world. And if you really start to think about it, it's not that different. How many hours do you spend on your phone today, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Google, or whatever? Where is the line between the real world and the virtual world? The schools that are happening online today, right? Every school has gone online, right? So is now schooling good in online or is it good in offline? I don't know. I know families in the US who still have their kids registered in the US school, but have come back to India and are doing online schooling for US from India. I don't know how they manage their 12-hour time difference, but I know families like that. Okay. My own brother, his kid, my nephew, is in a school in India, in Bangalore, but they've been in Dubai for the last 1 month, 2 weeks, and he's doing schooling from there. The school doesn't know, right? And everybody is doing this, right? You've seen people on corporate team meetings stand up and he has wearing shorts, but he's wearing one nice t-shirt, tie and suit on top, and everybody's laughing and all of that, right? So, okay, I digressed. The point is that NFTs have a real world value. Now, if somebody values something, who the hell am I to judge what that person values? Somebody values some pixel for $69 million, then fine. Yeah, that's where the market is. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, but it obviously makes sense to many millions out there who are 20, 30 years younger than me, right? So there is a different world that is happening, but the world I relate to is things like identity, credentials, right? Having a shop online where I can now maybe, put on one of those virtual glasses and I can see everything in the shop. I don't need to go to a supermarket. I don't need to go to a mall, and I can actually almost feel the product, see the product as it is stacked in the supermarket shelf, right? And I am willing to, pay for that, right? But more seriously, things like personal identity, corporate identity, your credentials, and all of that can be tokenized, right? And when you talk about limited edition anything, right? Limited edition music or limited edition art or limited edition culture, how do you tokenize culture is a whole different, mind-bending concept. But tokenization of culture is today happening, right? So there is a real world use of NFTs, and NFTs are built on blockchain. Two websites that I would encourage you to go to. OpenSea.com is a $13 billion enterprise right now. Last week, it was valued at $13 billion, and they sell NFTs. There are lakhs of NFTs like that, right, on OpenSea. We'll have a separate session on NFTs, but just wanted to, cover these topics as part of this conversation. Coinbase is starting an NFT platform of their own. So go to coinbase.com/NFT and you will see that they're starting something. And this is happening. I think many of the Indian crypto exchanges have also started their NFT side and all of that. And many are a joke. You'll see some art there. 50 paisa is the bid. 2 rupees is the bid. Who the hell is interested, right? But people are giving their shot, right? So Sriram is saying WazirX started NFT. Yeah, there you go, right? Now, who will get popular or not? I don't know. But NFTs are niche case scenarios. Unlike cryptocurrencies, NFTs are niche case scenarios. And if you know your niche, then you can make a lot of money. If you don't know your niche, you're most likely going to lose a lot of money. So let me end NFTs by saying this. If you are getting into NFTs, then know the game that you're playing. If you're playing football on a cricket pitch, you're going to get, bold. But if you know how to play cricket on a cricket pitch properly and get an NFT for a cricket NFT, then you may know what you're talking about, right? So these could be collectibles or whatever it is and all that. Anything which has to do with groups and to the extent of saying competition, right, are eligible for NFTs, whatever, discovery and all that. What is more interesting to me is what is called DeFi. Okay, DeFi stands for decentralized finance, versus CeFi stands for centralized finance. Centralized finance is the system that we have today. Central banks, commercial banks, your accounts, your savings bank account, your current account, your business accounts, and all that, right? Like I said before, because of peer-to-peer transactions and blockchain, now DeFi allows my money to be mine. It stays with me, on me, physically in an electronic format. No one can take it away. Anyone can take. By the way, you should go and see what happened in Cyprus a few years back. Okay, everybody who had more than $100,000 in their account, including corporates in Cyprus, their money was just taken away by the government of Cyprus. Okay, it was just taken by the government because the government had fallen into default on the loans. They needed some money. They found the money in everybody's bank account. They said, okay, we're taking your money. You could not do anything. When the government does that, what do? This happened in Argentina about 7-8 years back. Anybody over $1 million in their bank account, their money was converted from dollars to the local currency. The local currency was debased overnight, and it was converted back to US dollars at the much unfavorable rate to you. Your dollars disappeared. Governments have done this and will do this in the future. There is no mathematically possible way that all the government debt which is there can be paid back by the government. This is one of the reasons why the millennials and the Gen X are like wondering, we didn't create this problem. Why do we have to pay for this? But this is happening. Pensions of people in Spain was dropped by 75%. They paid for 30 years for their pension, and the government decided we cannot pay you. They're going to give you only 25% of the pension we promised. What can you do, right? When governments do this, what is your recourse? You do not have a recourse because everything is centralized finance. But with DeFi, decentralized finance, when your money remains with you, you can do something completely different. Anyone is asking about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Well, that was not a topic that I wanted to include in this, right? CBDCs, I will just take 30 seconds to respond to this because I'm really running out of time. But CBDCs are one way of central banks reinforcing their control in the electronic payment, electronic ecosystem. So we're talking about the digital dollar, the digital yuan, the digital this, the digital euro, and everything else. And of course, India is talking about the digital rupee, right? But remember that CBDC is issued by a central bank, right? And what the central bank then decides to do with the token it has issued to you or me and everybody else is in the authority of them, right? So it really does not change the system in any fundamental manner, right? So it'll have its conveniences, but it'll also mean that the system remains fundamentally what it is, right? Dangerous idea, not a dangerous idea. There's a whole gamut of, left wing, right wing, center wing debate on this. The jury is out. I don't think we'll know for the next 10 years, but the cat is out of the bag, and I don't think the genie can be put back in the bottle anymore, right? For those of us who ride the wave, yeah, some of us will get burnt, but I think some of us will do fabulously well at the end of the year, at the end of whenever. When I say fabulously well, I'm not necessarily talking about monetarily, but in ways of how you live life, right? All right. On the right, so on the bottom, I've talked about, okay, this is, sorry, typo here. It's not Saishi, it is Sushi, okay? Sushi and CRV, Uniswap, V3, Balancer. These are some of the tokens in DeFi, all right? So, by the way, everything that you trade, okay, the better word to use is a crypto asset, not a cryptocurrency. Not everything is a currency, all right? You're trading a crypto asset. If that crypto asset has value, it will gain in price. It has demand, it will gain in price. If it not, it will go down in price and value, right? Now, some of these things that I'm talking about, Sushi, CRV, Uniswap, Balancer, are DeFi protocols or codes which are built on the blockchain to allow for various things to happen, like peer-to-peer transfers and peer-to-peer lending. I can lend you money on the blockchain, and there's no way you can default, because it will be recorded by everybody in the whole world that Musa gave money to, say, Pranav, okay, and Pranav has to pay Musa this much. It is a public record. It is not a central record anywhere in some central bank or any bank manager. And by the way, I decide who I give my money to. You decide who you want to give your money to. And there are now communities around this where you can, give your money and they will sort of vet and they will get ranking for defaults and all of this and for paying on time. And you can decide whether to pay more, give more, lend more, borrow more, and all of that. So it is credit rating driven by code, not based on any arbitrary human-based system. Now, here's the very, very important thing, coming back to inflation and connecting it to DeFi. In the world today, the central banks worldwide are giving you -1, -0.1 to maybe plus 0.5% as interest rate. But when the inflation rate is running at 5 or 10%, what's the value of your money? Real terms, you're losing. But in DeFi, you can see there are tons of places. Some are scams, some are very credible and all that. Again, a complete topic in its own, where you can put your money and get 3 to 8%, even 10 to 12%. And these are dollar terms, by the way. This is not rupees. These are dollar terms. Can you imagine a dollar holding getting you 8% per annum? And that is collateralized 100%. So your principal is completely safe, right? Can you imagine getting something like that in dollar terms at an individual level, right? So what if someone defaults? The thing is, see, when you talk about a default, okay, actually, let's not get into that default conversation. It just opens up a whole Pandora's box. Stay till the end of the conversation and maybe we'll, continue this there. Right? Just to know that in real terms, you can get 10, 20 times what you're getting from the central bank in dollar terms. And I'm sure there are peer-to-peer lending networks in India where, today a senior citizen in India, fixed deposit, what does he or she do? Go to the post office, go to the RBI, go to FD bank and get what? 5%, 6%? If you have 1 crore sitting in an FD, you get 5 lakhs per year. Is 5 lakhs enough for 2 people, senior citizens, 50,000 per month? With whatever healthcare and this and that, it's not possible. There was a time when you were getting 10%, 12%. But peer-to-peer lending, where your principal is guaranteed and the risk of default is close to zero. If you actually, let me just answer this default question with one thing. Please go online and study default rates for peer-to-peer lending on the DeFi platform. Okay, not peer-to-peer lending between just anybody and everybody. Based on DeFi protocols, peer-to-peer lending, the default rate is 0%. Right? In the future, could it change? Sure, it could, right? But it's very unlikely to, because this requires a deeper understanding of how blockchain works. It is next to impossible to break that and then say, I've defaulted intentionally, right? There's always a collateral hold, right? Okay, we are really running out of time. Okay, 1 second. Better way, way better than, okay, let me see this. Okay, see this chart? Do you see this chart on your screen? Just put your hand up. This is Bitcoin versus gold over the last 12.5 years, 12.5 years, etc. Right? If you look at how gold is supposed to be the basic, course of the asset of last resort in terms of keeping value and keeping inflation under control and all that. Look at what has happened. If you had gotten into gold 12 years back, today gold will still give you only $1.73. If you had gotten into, right, Bitcoin 12 years back, it would have become 54 million. Right? Where is the comparison? This top line is Bitcoin. Okay. This bottom line is, sorry, this line here is gold. Gold price has virtually not changed in the last 10, 12, 15 years. But Bitcoin and many other crypto assets have gone up through the roof in ways that are difficult to understand, right? And this is, where is this? Okay. can you see? One sec, what am I sharing? Yeah, do you see this S&P versus gold versus Bitcoin at your end? Right?
Yes.
Great. Right? Just look at this. Again, I'll send you these links for those interested. Have a look at it and look at the outperformance of Bitcoin as just the representative crypto asset versus gold versus S&P 500. S&P, of course, there is you can actually get a different time series on this and all that, right? So this is just one for the last, I think, 1 year. Yeah, since Jan 2020. For the last 1 year, the S&P has gone up by 6%, gold has gone up by 25%, Bitcoin has gone up by 65%. Right now, talking about inflation, inflation is a very, 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 unfortunately, very poorly understood thing, even in the world of economics today. For those of us who are really interested in protecting our purchasing power and our standards of life, I would love to have a very in-depth interaction, probably at least half a day. And maybe we should do that face-to-face or whatever works, or okay, online and face-to-face. If you're interested, let me know, because very few of us actually have a handle on inflation and what it is doing to our lives in terms of literally destroying our ability to remain comfortable as far as at least our things that money can buy, right? Okay, so let me go back to the presentation. We're talking about decentralized finance. All right, do you see the presentation again?
Yes, sir.
All right. Lastly, just in a quick thing about there are 2 billion people who are not banked today because they don't have identity. They don't have an Aadhaar number or social security number. So no institution, no bank will say you are alive, you don't exist. As far as we are concerned, we cannot give you a bank account, or you have to put a minimum of 5,000 rupees or $100, right? If you can now do peer-to-peer transaction, you can transfer money, you can transfer value directly to somebody just because they have a phone. And you don't need a smartphone, by the way. Okay, ordinary feature phone will do. That's where the technology is heading. Then what does it mean to 2 billion people today who have no access to any financial services or banking services? That itself is another whole topic that we can discuss. Okay. Okay. Next. Decentralized infra as in internet infrastructure and things like that. Decentralized internet, what does it mean? Today your internet, you might be using Jio or Airtel or Act in Bangalore or Verizon, or in Riyadh you might be using STC or something like that. If your internet service provider switches your internet off, what will you do? If you did not pay your bill, what will you do? You're gone. And if internet goes down, you know how your world now comes to a stop, right? Internet in some countries has been declared a fundamental right, right? Like food, like shelter, the internet access has been declared to be a fundamental right. For those of you interested, please go to this company called helium.com, right? Helium.com is a company which is involved in setting up shared internet, decentralized internet. Just confirm that you can see that helium.com web page, right? Okay, great, thanks. Right, this now means that you do not have to depend on a central internet service provider for internet. By the way, for those of you interested, you can become part of this network. You can mint and mine Helium tokens, okay, and get paid for it and use this as a crypto asset on your online world, right? So if you want to go away and be part of the world which is truly democratic at the grassroots level, then this is one step that you and I can definitely take. Because today, if you look at it, the world has gone especially after 2020, more towards centralization. Everything is centralized. Money is centralized, internet is centralized, your jobs are centralized, fewer and fewer companies with the better and better jobs, right? The other companies can basically go to hell. Nobody gives a damn about it, right? So if you want to be part of this truly decentralization that is happening, especially in the Gen X and millennials, then internet is a fundamental requirement. By the way, electricity is decentralized today. Do you understand what we mean by that? What we mean by that is you can put up a solar panel and that's it. It's your power. Who can take it away from you? It might be only 300 watts. Put 5 panels, you get 1.5 kilowatts. It's enough for you. You are not dependent on a central utility to serve your needs. Decentralization is part of getting individual sovereignty and individual powers back to the individuals, which have been taken away by the state over the decades as the system has evolved. So internet, go have a look, right? Somebody was talking earlier about mining. We didn't touch about that. We do it at the end. But if you want to mine, this is one thing that you can mine. Forget about mining Bitcoin. It's just impossible today. It's just too power hungry, too power, energy rich. You and I can't do it anymore. Umesh ji, who was there, did it 5-7 years back. Lucky him. He told me to do it. I didn't. Stupid me. But the other things that you can do now. All right. So coming back to the presentation. Why does it always go back to that slide only? All right. Okay. DEX. What is DEX? I'll just mention it because these are terms that you will come across in the future very soon. DEX is decentralized exchanges, where an exchange is anything. It's not necessarily a stock exchange, commodity exchange, jobs exchange, arts exchange, education exchange portal, etc. Where there is no centralization. It is run by the community. What does it mean? Let me not start that since I'm running out of time. Next, decentralized autonomous organizations, right? Think about this. This is probably the first time many of you are hearing about this term, DAOs. 2022 is the year of the DAOs. 2021 was the year of the NFTs. 2020 was the year of the ICO, the initial coin offerings. Most of them were all Ponzi schemes and duds. This is the year of the DAOs, right? At the end of 2022 or in 2023, you'll hear about this DAO token went this, did that DAO token did that and all that. Learn about DAOs. What's DAO? Just to, see, this is what I mean by, mind numbing and hard to wrap your head around stuff. DAOs, first of all, look at the word decentralized autonomous organizations. Have you ever heard of an organization which is not centralized? There's a CEO, there's a chairman, there's a VPs, there's blah, 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 there's hierarchy after hierarchy right to the bottom. It is a centralized pyramid structure. Decentralized means flat. There is no one person who is in charge of anything, right? Even trying to imagine that something like that is possible is hard to fathom. That's why this world is so, many people are just disregarding it, because even at the concept, forget about how to make this work in real life. Just the concept of having, think about a decentralized khandan. There is no grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, everybody is equal. How does it work in hierarchies, in relationships? How does a decentralized shop work? How does a decentralized school work? How does a decentralized anything work? But here's is where it is. Some very clear-cut 8 criteria for decentralized autonomous. By autonomous means what? Self-governing. There's no governing body who decides the rules. The group decides everything for every issue. And how do you do that in a seamless manner, without collusion, without hidden agendas, without people being bribed to vote for you and not vote for somebody else? How do you do that? But that's all possible. And what do you mean by decentralized? That means the members can be anywhere. And by the way, in the world today, anywhere means anywhere on the planet. In a few years, it will be Earth plus Mars and the moon, right? Anywhere literally means anywhere now, not okay, this location, that location, or some geographically, limited thing. You have internet, get helium, get maybe Elon Musk Starlink, get a solar panel and get a computer and get your tokens, you're set. You don't need anything else. right? To participate in that economy and in that society, right? So what is DAOs? DAOs are open source and blockchain based, open for membership to anybody and everybody, are groups of independent parties that use a token to govern a protocol. What that protocol does is decided by the group, okay? To allocate internal capital. See, again, in organizations, there's always this, fight. There's limited money. Now, where are we going to use it? On research, on sales, on development, on buying property, or on paying bonus, or paying staff pay hike? What are we going to do? There's always, and who's deciding that? The group is not deciding. Some boss sitting somewhere pays himself $500,000 and no pay hike for the guys at the bottom, right? That's how the world works today. That cannot work in a DAO, right? Umesh ji is back. Wow, wonderful. I hope you're also online and listening to the session. Would love to have your inputs. Right. They allocate capital with the idea of automating a marketplace or function, whatever that is designed for. Prevent collusion. This is a huge problem in human society, right? It's a forever thing. Take my side, take my side. We start doing that in our families. It's, are you papa's child or mama's child? It starts with that, right? With that nonsense. And then as you go up, are you that boss, that party, this party, black, brown, right, left, everything goes on and all that, right? So then incentivizing bottoms up community participation. This is key. How many people decide not to vote because they think it's useless? What will I do? What is the point of voting? Because it has no impact, right? Why should I go to vote? Worldwide, democracy is at risk because individuals are saying, I will not vote because they have given up on the system. DAOs can fix this and allow you to do it from your phone and incentivize you to vote, right? They're not going to say, I will pay you more if you vote for this or that. They will say, just vote and we will pay you. What you vote for, we are not bothered, right? Incentivization is so important to human beings. Otherwise, we will just not do anything, right? Now, on the right side, what can DAOs be used for? Anything. It can be an open source library. It can be an NFT collection. It can be a social club. It could be news. It could be pooled labor. That word pooled labor is key. Pooled labor for anything and everything, right? And to give you a highlight, go Google this. Society Generale is one of the largest banks in France. Okay, went onto a DAO platform. And by the way, DAO platforms are open source. So if you put up a proposal, everybody sees it, not some secret deciding agency or committee and all that, right? They wanted to buy 20 million in DAI and put it for use in the virtual currency world and make things work. So there is big multi-million, multi-billion dollar stuff that is happening, right? Two questions. Is DAO truly decentralized? Okay, there are degrees of decentralization they've done it with, right? So you can have a DAO which is sort of partly centralized, some are not, etc. Right? There are degrees of that. I didn't want to bring that up. But the idea that you can have decentralization itself is radical and truly path-breaking, right? How much decentralization you want can be up to the members, right? So we can do that. Whether ETH or SOL are really that or really not that, I think we can always debate it. You can always build a side chain, okay, or a roll-up based on that, or you can build your own blockchain, which is truly decentralized. All depends on what your real social and political agenda is. Because centralization is to centralize power, authority, and profit. Decentralization is about real participatory emancipation of each and every person who participates, right? So what is your real agenda is what will determine that. Green asked about environmental impact of cryptocurrency. Maybe we'll do that at the end. Controversial debate. There's lots of to's and fro's for it, but I have some interesting points to that and I will answer that at the end, right? Okay, so that was about DAOs. Coming very quickly to the metaverse, right? I don't believe I have only 24 minutes left. We are not going to finish on time. Let me, I think, say that upfront. I'm really, really sorry. I just thought I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough, and I kept adding, and I kept adding, and I kept adding. All right. I will also send you a very nice videos about metaverse. But metaverse is essentially, today like Mark Zuckerberg said in one of his videos, you look at the world through a small glass window, and that small glass window that he's talking about is your phone screen, right? Your smartphone screen or your laptop screen. That is where we are spending the vast amount of our hours every day. It is not immersive. It is disconnected. Okay. It has its own hassles. It is not really mobile. It is dependent on so many other things. It is not 360 degrees and all that, right? Now, if you can actually build a metaverse, which is really, actually, there is one video that I really would love to play. It's a short one, which I hope if I play it, do you also hear it? Do you see introduction to Microsoft Mesh on your side? Yes. Okay, I'm going to play it. I hope you can see you can hear the sound also. Just put if you can.
Nope, it isn't audible.
It's not audible?
You need to share sound.
What do I need to share?
The sound
Share
of the video. Go to the top of your screen. You will be seeing options there, and then there will be share sound.
Top of which screen now? You have to help me there.
Your screen.
My...
No, don't stop sharing.
No, I didn't stop sharing.
You did.
I stopped sharing? One second. Okay. More.
You'll be seeing a list of options on the top of your screen.
Yeah.
In that there will be 3 buttons. The right side, share sound.
Share sound. Okay, now
to
can you
seek
hear?
out others who feel the same way.
Yep.
Okay, let me start from the beginning. This is really worth watching.
Connection is a spark that gives our lives meaning. It drives us to seek out others who feel the same way.
Okay, why don't you input the data and we'll take a look together. Hey Mari, what you got for me?
To find those who share our views, yet offer different perspectives.
Saw this net. Look over here.
Challenge us with new ways of seeing.
That I think we should
Deepen our understanding. And enrich our lives.
最后一笔的时候，往前。
Great things happen when we commit to something bigger than ourselves.
Let's take a closer look at it.
Place this here. Let's see how we go from there, okay?
This sense of collaboration and the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
Hey, just in time.
I'm gonna move it slightly, okay?
It's yours, take it.
We have 2 planes right now on the same trajectory.
As we put people first, technology fades into the background and feels like anything but.
Aisha, what do you think?
I think if we had 330, maintaining 2800, we'll be clear for approach.
Excellent.
This changes the way we see the world, and in turn, changes the world we see.
These numbers are looking great, actually.
There's promise in the possibilities, and what we see and create next will stretch the imagination.
Good morning, Sarah.
Morning.
Slowly coming towards the thumb.
A world without boundaries.
Good job. A lot better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Slowly bring
A world where technology enhances, not limits, humanity. With people front, center, and in the spotlight. The future is here. And here can be anywhere. Introducing Microsoft Mesh.
Did everyone get that? Can you now hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, anyone want to say quickly of anything about what you saw here? Have you seen it before? Anything like that?
Yes, augmented reality.
This was way beyond that,
Yes, true, with holographics.
right? So for those of you who saw this for the first time, right, imagine that world being every day. And this is still not the metaverse, actually. One of the best, most savvy, most smart business decisions I've seen is Mark Zuckerberg's renaming of Facebook to Meta. Now, everybody thinks metaverse is Facebook. No, that's nonsense. Facebook will just be one small part of the metaverse, and everybody is going to build a metaverse, right? And you should, I mean, we are not even able to grasp this. If you could live in a completely 3D immersive world, you know, you saw that lady, you know, touching. If you've seen, go and look for bioengineered hands, which actually behave like live human tendons, robotics, right? You can actually see it's pretty, you know, yuck at sometimes. It's fascinating. You can actually see the tendons moving in that robot hand, like a human tendon. You can see the fingers. It is as close to biology as has ever happened. So touch, sound and, you know, visual were already there, but again, not in an immersive way, right? Metaverse is about being present and immersive in real time in ways that we have not even understood right now. Today, school kids are complaining, oh, sitting in front of the computer all the time. What if they just had one device sitting, you know, on their head? And when they looked right, they saw a friend, looked left, they saw a friend, or looked front, they saw the blackboard, looked down, they saw the seat they're sitting on, just like you were in school. And you heard sounds from the right, from the front, from the back, etc. And you just experienced like you were in school. What if you could do that with your office collaborators and you could see them in full size, not, you know, miniaturized Zoom windows? No, we're talking about full size, whether it's holographic and interactive and real time. Now, some people think this is dystopian and the world gone crazy. Well, maybe dystopian for the old generation. It is fascinating for the new generation. But whatever it is, whether we like it or not, that's where the world is heading. And there is no going back on this, right? I just wanted to say this here as I knew I was taking a big gamble with this. I just wanted to mention this because it's a hot topic. Why I'm mentioning this is Metaverse is built on blockchain and cryptos and tokens. You cannot have a metaverse without NFTs. You cannot have a metaverse without tokens. You cannot have a metaverse without its own currency to oil all the transactions within that space, right? So if you are now getting into blockchain and tokens, and whether it is infrastructure tokens or governance tokens or identity tokens and NFTs and DAOs, these are the building blocks of the superstructure called the metaverse. Think of it like this. A brick today is used to build a small wall, or it can be used to build a massive palace, right? We are very far from building the palace, but we figured out how to build the bricks, the building blocks of the metaverse. And as we go forward, when that palace is built, how many bricks will be required? And if you are an owner of bricks or a producer of bricks, even better, then what is possible for you as the metaverse evolves? It is one of the most disruptive technologies, both enabling and disabling, that is happening to mankind right now. Work from home, as much as we've taken for granted, you know, it's not, you could just have a small cubicle and feel in an entire spacious space. Now, you may not like it, but I don't know. But that is where the world is heading. Things like what is called a digital twin, an exact replica of you. By the way, each of these topics, we can have a half day or a multi-hour session, and it's worth Googling and reading, which is what I've done over the last many, many weeks. And I've just tried to, you know, put in so much into so little time. So the digital twin, virtual reality and augmented reality are not the same thing, by the way. Creating these, you know, 3D spaces in real time, the hardware that's required, whether it's haptics, smells, headsets, the computing power, the graphic cards, the servers, etc. And coming to the last 2 points, real in virtual, virtual in real. What do we mean by that? real in virtual and virtual in real. We have this compartmentalization of virtual reality and the real world that we apparently live in. Well, tell me something, when you're using Google Maps, is that the real world or is that virtual? How dependent are you on your Google map when you travel somewhere to tell you not only directions, but now tell you where the cafe is, where the ATM is, where the petrol bunk is? Is that the virtual in the real world or the real in the virtual world? I don't know. Because they took all the stuff which is in the real world out there, which is on the road, which is in the traffic, which is the real-time traffic, everything, or shop timings, and they put it in the virtual world in your app, and you're saying, okay, this is closed, this is open, this is 5-star rated, this is 2-star rated, and you make real-world decisions based on that. Who's making the decisions? Right? So this thing about virtual and real, I think, is getting really blurred. You're talking about schooling and all you people doing work from home. Is that virtual work or real work? As a doctor, if I consult a patient on the phone, sorry, not in the hospital and not face-to-face and over a Zoom call, is that a real consultation or a virtual consultation? Should I be paid or should I not be paid? Is the patient healed or not healed? Is a prescription given or not given? So I think we are still clinging on to our antiquated ways of defining life and defining reality as real and virtual. The world has gone way beyond this. And for those of us who can see it, great. For those of us who can't, like always, many of us will be left behind, right? Okay, so moving on. And again, I'm very happy to have more sessions on this. Let me know. Just to connect the topics for today, as you can see, we're talking about virtual assets. On the right side, I've put this virtual assets and all that. What do I mean by virtual assets? Anything that you own. I mean, you have this kid saying, Papa, Mama, I want that gun, 10,000 rupees for that special gun in that special game. And it doesn't make sense to me. I need to have that color. I want this electronic keyboard and all that. It's all virtual, but it's real money. Now, everything that you buy in the virtual world right now is locked into the ecosystem that created that virtual world, whether it's an avatar or whether it is a toy or a real thing or whatever it is. Metaverse will allow you to take this across different metaverses. So you can go from the Facebook metaverse to the Microsoft metaverse to Musa's metaverse, and all of you and all of us can have our own individual metaverses. You can collaborate. Yes, people are talking about concerts and radio shows and after parties and all that stuff, right? So this ability now for you to participate in the metaverse, what would it take, right? How will you participate? Just through cryptocurrencies or through tokens or through being part of building this metaverse, which is where I'll come to in the opportunities that are there for everyone, right? So, wow, I took 2 hours just to finish the buzzwords. I'm really sorry to anybody who's got to go. We'll hopefully make this recording available if we can. But now, finally, I think maybe, to the place where I think most of us are perhaps interested. What is the opportunities which lie ahead and what is it that we can all do? Though late, it's still early days. It's still the Wild West, right? When I say though late, well, maybe 10 years back was the early time when it all started, but it is really, really happening now in ways that we are seeing and we are able to relate to at least. 5-10 years back, it was just totally conceptual. So any of these things, and you can continue on this list, right? Corporate work, all of you are doing work from home, shops, retail, education, training, tourism, health, consulting, B2B, governance, and blah, 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 blah. You can just keep going on. Can all become part of the real virtual world, right? Or the virtual real world. Call it however you like, whatever works for you. Today, we are all really stuck at the sort of very nascent interface of the real world with the virtual world because of Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams and things like that. But there is a revolutionary change that is coming up through blockchain, which will allow for authentication, validation. I don't think I really focused on this. Let me go back. I'm going to go back. Trustless trust. Trust less trust. Write this down somewhere and think about it. Trust less. How can you have trust if you say trust less? Trust is the fundamental building block of anything between two or more human beings. Where there is no trust, breakdowns happen, no possibility happens. When there is trust, everything is possible, right? It's like when you love somebody, you remember how you completely trusted him or her with anything and everything in your life, and then something happened, right? And if you fall in love again, you'll feel that way again, right? Trust is itself a concept which is hard to get, but blockchain is enabling trustless trust without the need to depend on a human to say that this is trustworthy. The system is telling you. Now, this might sound like, dystopia at another level. You're talking about, okay, but you know what? You talk about, can I trust my car to take me somewhere? Can I trust my computer to work for me? Can I trust my phone to last for 5 hours? Right? And you never have a doubt about it. If your phone battery and it's a new phone or whatever, it's saying 5 hours, it lasts 5 hours. If now you tell somebody, I will meet you in 5 hours. They're like, okay, we'll see whether you'll really come on time or not, right? So you can see the degrading of trust between humans, but we're depending more on machines. And machines are now enabling, or code or software is now enabling trust to become possible between humans without depending on a human, if that makes sense. You're depending on code, right? Okay. So there's a question, can I take an example from any of the virtual businesses and explain possibilities? Sure. All right. In that Metaverse video, you saw how the doctor and patient interacted, right? That was still face to face. She was sitting in a house and he was somewhere in the hospital, and it's all that, right? Let me take the thing that we all relate to is the schooling that's happening at home, right? Our kids are working from home. Today, if you have to get colleagues on your team to collaborate, it is still such a pain, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever, in your internal networks, this, that, and all. What if you could get a holographic 3D, you put on this headset, you have the microphone, you have these glasses, right? What is it called? Oculus 2 or something like that. I'm forgetting the hardware. Oculus 2, I think. Just go Google it up, right? You have sound, you have this hologram, and you can see these persons interacting in real time. Somebody is just passing by and you can see them just passing by like you would see in an office. Somebody's having, one gossip session in the corner somewhere. You can see that person having a gossip session in the corner somewhere. You can see this person face to face in the full human size as you would in an office, right? And if you could do this in real time, and just like you walk across to a cubicle somewhere and say, hey, I need you, can you come over for 5 minutes? You could really do that sitting in your home, sitting on the beach at Goa, right? How would that be, right? And then you do your business like you were really doing your business, like this person is really there next to you, like you are in the office. Okay, let's talk about Zoom birthday parties. They are really a sad affair as far as I'm concerned. And everybody is like blowing which candle, God only knows, eating, everybody is like, but you don't know what the other person is eating. You can't see. So, okay, so let me expand on this. You have this, what is this, Roomba robots to clean your floor nowadays? What are they called? Some people have them, right? There's these robots, you just buy them 30, 40,000. Oh yeah, there are many, right? There will be a device, Roomba, right? Thank you. There'll be a device just like the Roomba something. You put it in the middle of your house. It'll do a proper LiDAR or 3D scan and create a virtual house, which will have exactly the same dimensions, all the paintings, exactly the same color, the curtains, the sofa that is there in your house. It'll be exactly what is called a digital twin, a 3D real-time representation of your living room or whatever room you are in. Now you invite somebody and say, hey, come over, and they come in that virtual world and they sit in your sofa, hologram right next to you. That is how real it is going to get, right? Now, obviously, you cannot be giving them tea and coffee. That's not going to happen. But If they had coffee at their hand and they were sipping it, you would actually see them lift it, sip it, maybe some steam or whatever, having a biscuit. And now, how would that sort of a social interaction be for a family which has all the 5 people on 5 different continents versus something which is just a Zoom call, right? What if, say somebody was hospitalized, was in a hospital, father, mother, grandfather, whatever it is, and everybody was there in real time, in a holographic manner, in that hospital room, simultaneously sharing the empathy which is there. Or if your kid is getting, say, graduation, you could actually be, somebody was talking about concerts and things like that. What about a graduation ceremony of your child on the other side of the planet in some other continent, and you can't attend because of COVID, or you can't go, or you're busy, but you could be there in real time, in 3D reality, in full-size images, not one smartphone somewhere somebody's trying hard to focus on and you cannot make out whose black hat is whose. So you would actually be there and you could be on the front seat if you wanted. So all this is happening as we speak, right? So I hope I've given you some sense of what is going on. And the thing is that, like everything else, most people have no clue this is coming. Most people have no clue that this is what is available. And this is, by the way, all in the next 2 to 5 years. All in the next 2 to 5 years. So in terms of businesses, creating these spaces, creating content, delivering content, training people to use these devices. How many of people still don't use their smartphone properly? They don't know what the features are, they're struggling and all of that. You will actually need to create training programs for something as simple as that, right? So however intuitive you are, there's this human inbuilt hesitation to just take it. So when that happens, what are the opportunities that open up? And this is, by the way, you don't need code. All these metaverse guys have now built platforms where you can create conversations, content, experiences without learning code, right? They all have their own languages. I don't know what, I think something is called Solidify and something in different places, right? You can just be an ordinary human being, enough application, interest, time, and effort, and you're done. You can be running with Sandbox. Somebody said, okay, thank you for that, right? You can go and actually participate and be what is called a creator of these experiences. It is like the people 20 years back, 15 years back, who used to create websites. Today, you don't really go find somebody to do a website. You go to Wix, or you go to, what is that other thing? You go to put it on Facebook, or you put somebody's WordPress, right? And you just go click, 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 and your website is done in maybe 15 minutes or maximum 1 day. You can get a beautiful website. You don't need to learn anything. Everything is drag and drop. So things have come to that level in the blockchain, crypto, DeFi, DAO, Metaverse space, where you just have to go there and look. And most of us have no clue that you can even see that. So, we are eyes open, but no eyes, no clue what we are seeing, right? Because I'm not joking, and I cannot exaggerate this. After the last 2 months, I feel like I live in the Stone Age. Like, where the hell were you living, man? Came out from under the rock, and like the sun is like totally blinding me right now. Like, what the hell happened? Where was I? Okay. So, it would be a really fun thing for a bunch of people to dive into this, and like you can see everybody pulling their hair out and say, yeah, I understand. Cool. Yeah, all right. Okay. So Vishal says, same feeling. Good to have company, Vishal. Thank you for that. Right. So like the people in the, people 15 years back used to charge some 20,000 rupees to create a stupid website. I remember getting a quote for 5,000 rupees per page to create a website. I think, what the hell is wrong with you? The same format, the same template, you're going to create 10 pages and you can't charge me 50,000 rupees. I basically said, to hell with you. And when I went to Google Sites, found something which was basically, if you can type, you can create a website, and I created my own website. This is the level to which things are happening here. And if you are, I think I may be oversimplifying things, but I think this is where things are already. This is the 1990s of the internet happening again. So all of us who missed that chance, and all of us who are not born then, right? You don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Stop nodding your head, right? Then this is the chance that we all have. Again, I really feel that for all the chances I left off in my life and I said, this is useless internet. Remember first time mobile phones came out and it was 16 rupees for an incoming local call. Right? I remember this JTM, there was in Bangalore, big band, 16 rupees for incoming. Everybody who bought that stupid 1 lakh brick just kept it there for sure. Nobody took a call and they only pretend to take a call. 16 rupees for incoming local call. Who the hell pays 16 rupees 20 years back? Yeah? And at that time, we all dismissed it. This is that world again. And those of us who are interested, there is a huge amount of opportunity. Mega opportunities is just there. I find my language failing me, right? I really don't have the words to express the sort of opportunities that there are there for people who are waking up to this. It is whatever's happened with Bitcoin and all that is nothing. There will be a million times more that will happen going forward. You just have to step into. By the way, most importantly, something that very, very, very close to my heart. I'm really glad I remembered this point. I really want. I'm like, I don't know if I'm too old for this, but I really want the next gen to be a part of this. And the current education system is not even talking anything about, it's still stuck in the 1980s. You look at the computer software curriculum in engineering college in India today, still 1980s, 1990s crap. And here we are, it is like gone here and sending our kids to school and all of that. For what? 4 years. You know what happens in 4 years in the metaverse? The planets change. Your horoscope changes and all of that. Okay. So there's no point. So I don't know. And I don't say this lightly. Okay. I'm really trying to influence my next generation in my extended family to like, you guys open your eyes and see what the hell is going on. I'm not having much success. Like they say, ghar ki murgi dal barabar. Nobody listens to you at home. Right. But let's see. Hopefully there's more success out there with you guys. Okay. So early birds, entrepreneurship, etc. So on the business side, this is what there is. Right. Now, let me, Malana is saying everybody will hate you if they quit school. I know the school owners will be pissed off with me. I think the kids will be very happy with me. And that's all I care about. Right. So to hell with the school owners. Right. Okay. Okay. Let me move on to, I'm going to skip this chart. Okay. You saw this already, what happened. Now I'm going to, that was just a short introduction to the business side of it. Okay. And it really requires a certain different type of person to get into the nitty-gritty of that. Again, I'm happy to have a session on this if anybody is interested. I myself am exploring and I'm sure I'll learn a lot from you guys. But now let's look into looking at crypto assets. I do not like the term cryptocurrency. Okay. It's got a lot of misnomers. There's a lot of unfounded and completely misinformed ideas and conversations in the public when you call it a currency, right? So I'm not going to use that word. I'm going to use the word crypto assets, right? Bitcoin is definitely a currency, having said all this, okay? Bitcoin is the only currency per se, because it is designed to be a currency. It is not designed to be anything else. You cannot really build a smart contract on Bitcoin. But Ethereum, Solana, and everything else is all about smart contracts and enabling all sorts of things. You cannot build an identity token on Bitcoin. You cannot build a credential token on a Bitcoin. You cannot build a reward token on a Bitcoin, right? But you can do that on Ethereum and many, many other things and all. So there are many different types of tokens and therefore crypto assets. I'm just giving you a very rough example of what has happened right now. And this is in the slide that you should be able to see. Just confirm again, please, with the thumbs up, right? You should see Bitcoin, Ethereum, Axie, and Rune. Okay. Just very quickly, just go through this. I'm not going to go through that. I'll just go through the last part. My mind stopped working when I was trying to calculate per year percentage returns. When something goes up 400,000 times in 7 years, what is the annualized rate? Can somebody please calculate? I was doing that on my calculator and I was like, what is this, man? Forget it. There's no point putting that number. So I just put all these things because my brain was getting fried, right? So if anybody can, figure out the numbers, send it to me. I'll just take whatever number you throw at me, right? So the thing is, Vishal is saying Vitalik, who developed Ethereum, was funded to drop out of school and develop stuff. When he was 20 years old, mainstream education is more and more useless. is becoming, what do you mean become? It became useless long time back. Okay. Mainstream education is useless a long time back. And by the way, there is a program in the US which is paying teenagers to drop out of school and college to play basketball, NBA level basketball. They're paying them over $1 million to drop out of school and play basketball. Okay, because they want to catch them young. Like this, yes, there are many programs and there are unbelievable amount of funding for people who have got the right ideas and the coding skill to get funded in hundreds and thousands of dollars just to start with, right? If you got, because this world, the Web3 world has realized that the Web1, Web2 world that you and I come from is useless and people from them are worthless. So before the next generation also becomes worthless, let's pick them up now, pick their brains and, run, because that's where the future is, right? So yeah, I'm just trying to cultivate a bunch of, the next Web3 people who I can be a part of and say, okay, please take me, please take me, please take me before I die, right? Okay. So this is just some of the stuff that is happening in the crypto assets, of late. And this is why everybody is hooked to it, right? This is the big money, right? Let me just say this. If I can give you number after number after number, what you can create in equity markets in a lifetime, you can create in the crypto world in 1 year. Just make this note. What you can create in the equity markets in a lifetime, 30 years, you can make in 1 year in the crypto assets world. If, and there's a big caveat, if you get it right, right? Which means, what, for me, 30 years of my struggle to make something worthwhile and say I'm a millionaire, I can do in 1 year. Then what I decide to do for the rest 29 years of my life is up to me. Because this is the dogs that we've become to the system that we have. That is, you're going to slave 30 years to do something with so-called working life. And all for what? Let's be blunt about this. All for making money. After that is innovation. I did this, I did that. Da, 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 da. If there was no money, tell me, would you do it? I don't think so. Right? So it's all about making money, right? So I'm saying if you can do what you're doing in 30 years, savings, earnings, profits in 1 year, is it worth going after? What you do for the next 29 years, I don't know. Again, every 30 years return, every 1 year, I don't know how much you make at the end of the day. So the amount of wealth, by the way, the amount of money that is being made in Web3 is just the zeros don't, zeros never made sense. It took a long time for humanity to invent zero and we still haven't figured out zero. Even if it's on the right side, which is at the end, another 1 lakh, 10 lakhs, 1 crore, it still doesn't make sense. So this has gone to another level altogether in magnitude. So let me not even, I've already blabbered enough about it. Let me not say more, but this is just one example. Now, let's look at the BTC timeline, right? I've just taken this right from the time sort of it came into more, okay, 1 second. There's a question about Zishan asking, is knowledge of trading crypto assets better than being a part of these businesses? I think those are two very separate issues, Zishan. It's a very good question. If I could, I would be a part of both. One is not independent of the other. I would very much be a part of investing into the right crypto assets. And I want to be, this is what I've decided, that I want to be part of the Web3 ecosystem. I don't know who is going to take an oldie like me, but I am really open to ideas and, opportunities where I could be of some value in the Web3 thing and be part of developing something, whether it's infrastructure, ideating, spaces, or just educating people, because this is where the future is. And I want to be a part of that, right? So I would definitely would like to be a part of both. All right. Now, on the left is a very, high low of each year. The third column is how much you would have lost. In that first year, 1 lakh would have become 25 rupees. Okay. If you invested at the high price and you got out at the low price, 1 lakh would have become 25 or 250. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. Are you willing to take that sort of a risk? On the other hand, if you had invested 1 lakh then, it would have become 400 lakhs. That is 4 crores in 1 year. In 1 year, right? As you can see, of late, that numbers have become drastically, more acceptable. Last year, 2021, if you had taken the top and you are sitting now, you lost 40% of your money. If you had gotten at the bottom and went to the top, you would have made 1.6x. All right. Now, by the way, there is one sort of intentional blunder in this table. What came first? I have not told you. High came first or low came first? Right? I haven't told you that, whether high came first or low came first. That's an exercise for you. But here's one thing. What is the future of BTC? We are right now at around 41,000 on Bitcoin. Will Bitcoin go to 20,000 again? Will Bitcoin go to 4,000 again? Will Bitcoin go back to 50,000? Will Bitcoin go back to 50,000? Will Bitcoin go to 100,000? Will it go to 250,000? Will it go to $500,000? Or even go to $1 million? Somebody saying definitely, definitely. Very, 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 very bullish. Sriram is. I hope all of your money is in Bitcoin then. Okay. Right. So the jury is still out. We don't know. But again, there are some. So somebody mentioned fundamental reports, right? He's bearish as well as bullish. Well, when it goes down, he should keep putting more and more and more to the extent that finally he should sell one kidney and all his house, right? So let's see if he does that. Anyhow, if you believe it, you should. By the way, there are very staunch believers like that, right? Go and look up Michael Saylor, what he says, and go and look up what. See, there are only 2 companies in the world in the listed space. One is MicroStrategy, and the other one is Tesla. Okay, which have actually put their corporate treasury money in Bitcoin. No other company has put its money in Bitcoin. Only 2. What if only 10% of the S&P 500 companies put money into the crypto asset space? What would happen to those prices? Okay. What if that happens? Then who knows, right? What will happen to the prices of the crypto assets, as long, of course, you got into the right crypto assets, right? Okay. So talking about fundamentals, even I used to think, especially a few years back, that there is no fundamental basis to crypto and to tokens and all that. I stand corrected. There are very solid cases to crypto tokens, and there are good fundamental metrics that you can actually figure out on tokens. And that's a completely separate topic for discussion. I just want to put it out there that fundamental data is now available. This fundamental data is nothing like the fundamental data like we talk about equity, price earnings ratio, debt equity. That is all irrelevant in this world. We'll have to all learn from basics and learn completely, like peer-to-peer, decentralized, DAOs are, stuff you have to get your head around. The fundamental metrics for crypto is something else we'll have to get all our head around, right? And again, this I think would be, there are of course amazing resources on the web, of course, but learning alone is a very, very challenging thing. So again, this is one of the things that if there's a group of people, study together, learn together, share resources, blah, 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 then that would, I think, be a very, very nice thing to do, right? Okay. So here are 3 scenarios for you to think about as far as any crypto asset that you're holding is concerned, right? In the year 2022, we could have a blow off top and a very sharp sell-off, followed either by a V-shaped recovery or a slow grinding bear market, right? Or the crypto asset space, which is around $2.5 trillion, depending on how you measure it, could go 10x this year and go to 20 trillion bubble that lasts all year, and then will crash after that. Or we could go into a very slow and steady higher incline into perpetuity, and when we have entered what is called a super cycle, right? For those of you who don't know cycles and super cycles and mini cycles and all that, I would suggest you either read up or we can have a discussion on cyclical cycles in financial markets, and also study what is called Elliott wave, right? So those are what will explain cycles and super cycles a lot, right? Okay. Umesh ji is mentioning if 1% of the American public gets on board for BTC, it will skyrocket. Yes, and actually there is data that shows that over 45% of the Gen Z is already into crypto in some form or the other, right? So the younger generation is already into crypto. You go to Dubai, you go to the US, you go to college campuses abroad, you go to colleges in India, come on, or China for that matter. I mean, China banned it, right? But the kids are into this big time. But like I said, again, I'm not sure many of these kids know what they're doing. Many of them will lose their money. They just for the sake of money, they've born into that native world of digital everything. They had a phone when they were 2 days old, and stuff like that. So yeah, sure, we can have a session on cycles and Elliott wave. That's the other thing to study about, right? Right. So for those who are getting onto this whole bandwagon out of FOMO, right, fear of missing out, they are the ones who are going to lose. Those who get in when things happen, they are the ones who are really going to crack this thing in a big time in their life, right? Right. So crypto tokens, let's look at what are the various baskets of tokens. So this is again not any recommendation. I'm reiterating that. If you're looking at investing and trading, right, you can look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Polkadot, Binance Coin, and there's a whole list. It's impossible. There are 12,600 tokens. By the way, most of them are scams. Most of them are Ponzi schemes. Most of them are Me Too's and memes. Now, the challenge will be, how do you separate the real ones from the bad ones? Okay, I will come to that. Yeah, Dogecoin is a nice meme one. Whose favorite? Elon's favorite. The second thing will be owning a stake in future incomes. What I mean by future incomes is, it's just like owning property. You earn rent in the future. If you own technology, you can earn. So this is where DAOs come in, by the way, decentralized autonomous organizations that build technology, that build services, and you're part of that pool who bought the DAO token in the beginning, and of course hoping it was not a scam and a Ponzi scheme. Then when that DAO evolves to make something which has great in-depth utility, the token of the DAO will go up. The DAO will have incomes and profits that will incur to it, and you being participate in that token and having that DAO token will receive your share of the incomes in the future. All right. So yes, you can own a stake in future incomes. This is a completely, I have not heard of any trader in the crypto world talking about, I want to create income out of this. Pooling, staking, lending is different. That's like lending your money, you're lending your Bitcoin, you're lending your Ethereum. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about lending and earning money. I'm talking about owning, and then that ecosystem earning money for itself. And you, as part of the member of that ecosystem, have a right on that money. And because, remember, it is blockchain, and because it's decentralized, and because it is on a smart contract, you will get it as part of that. Okay. Not royalties in the stock market. You can think about it as dividends in the stock market, right? The company does well, it shares a profit with you, right? And things like that. Similar concept can be applied to owning Web3 infrastructure. Okay, Web3 infrastructure. Stable coins, whether it is this USDT, USDC, USDP, these are stable coins, are basically tokens which are linked to the US dollar. So one USDT or DC or DP is $1 US. Okay. And there's a whole set of issues around this. There's a beautiful 4 hours, 45-minute US congressional hearing only on stable coins, right? It's available on YouTube, Google it, or I'll send you the link. If anybody is interested at the policy level, statutory level, regulatory level, the challenges and all that, it is just out of this world stuff. right? So these sort of things are not for trading. The stable coins I'm talking about are not where you can make money. But stable coins can be a beautiful way of preserving your capital in a tokenized form in your physical possession. All right. Number one. Number two, able to transfer that to anybody, anytime, anywhere in the world who will accept it. And then it will become something you like a peer-to-peer transaction without anybody else having any say in it. Right. So if you're looking at, let's say, forex transfers, you want to send money to somebody else, like, people working in the Middle East or US or NRIs want to send money back home. Today, you pay ridiculous transaction fees to the bank to do a forex transfer from anywhere to anywhere. If you actually start looking at the fees in depth, you will pay anything from 2 to 10% is the loss of value just because you went to a bank or Western Union or any of these foreign exchange transfer guys, right? Now think about it. You as a rich person may not be really bothered about it, but a fellow who is a laborer in Saudi Arabia, in Mexico, okay, or in South America, in Panama, and wants to send his money back to Bhutan or Nepal or Sri Lanka or India, and if he is going to lose 10% of his money, just because he has to go and stand in a line to transfer money back to his village, isn't that atrocious? Isn't that taking advantage of humanity? Isn't that deceit? Isn't that unethical? Right? And the world, the central banks, the politicians are not interested in fixing this at all. They're not interested in making it cheaper and easier, right? But a stable coin can do that. Somebody there, that local guy, blue collar worker, can buy a stable coin and then send it across to anybody else in the world. It's just a digital thing, like you send a WhatsApp message or a SMS. It goes there and that person can then use that stable coin for whatever they want, like money, right? So views on taxation and crypto assets, oh, that's a Pandora's box. Not for this session. If you're staying back at the end and maybe we have this at 10 in the night today, we'll do it, right? I'm happy to answer those questions. Okay, because I have studied that. I mean, those are real issues that are worrying the politicians and everything about that, right? Mining, we'll come to that later, all right? We'll come to that later. Okay, so right now, as far as crypto tokens are there are more than 12,000 tokens. Remember that crypto is a 24/7, 365 market. It does not sleep. So the question really is, how do you track this? What do you track? Where do you track? What should you do? What should you not do? The thing about stock markets is they have a closing time. So you sleep. You know that your world cannot get better or worse till next morning. That's it, right? But crypto assets are not like that. You can sleep now and tomorrow morning, finished. You will not have, you see the price, you open the phone and you'll literally not have time to go to the toilet. Okay. Or you'll jump out of bed and feel like the richest man in the world. Okay. Yeah, there are no circuits. Thanks, Vishal. There are no circuits in crypto at all. See, crypto is decentralized. It's the Wild West. There is no regulation. There are no rules. And if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, they're out to take your money left, right, and center like nobody's business. Thankfully, some things are coming into place right now, right? But that's just a matter of time. It will evolve to something which is structural. But by the time you would have lost the opportunity. The thing is, if you want to do now, then you do now, right? So how do you do this in a real-time 24/7, 365 market when the human body is designed to work for only 4 hours a day, right? Now, that is something that we really need to undertake, and that is not the purpose of the session, but I have some pointers to that in the next few slides, right? Somebody is saying investing feels like a futures trade. Oh, yeah, it is in the spot itself. So here's another option, by the way. Okay. Somebody is saying it's not about someone in a country. Yeah, there's no country here. There's no country here at all. It's literally planetary. The word country makes no sense. The word time zone makes no sense. The word continent makes no sense anymore. It is truly a planetary scale thing that we are seeing right now, right? Time matters only to human beings, Sriram. Time doesn't matter to anything else. Only, human beings invented the clock. Nothing else has the clock. We are idiots for it, right? Okay. Ikramullah is talking about crypto in India and regulation. I will talk about that policy issues in a little bit, right? So Web3 tech. So by the way, so this is the third way of getting involved in Web3 investing. First was actually building businesses, being part of it directly, being part of the technology or building services, whether it's simple training or, using the platforms. Second was actually dealing with the tokens. Okay. Third is Web3 tech. How about just going and buying a bunch of these companies' stock prices? Because these are the companies which are behind it, right? This is just a snapshot. I'm sure there are many more, right? But it's huge. You need hardware, you need coding, you need social networks, you need human interfaces, all your Oculus and Microsoft Holo and things like that. You need the backend infrastructure, and you need content creation, blah, 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 blah. It just goes on and on and on. So this is something you could do, right? And this is something that, again, I think is a completely different approach and would be worth creating a conversation about this. For those of us who are uncomfortable with crypto tokens or crypto assets, why not look at the tech companies or the equity companies which we can buy stocks of and say, okay, fine, let's go with this. Okay, this is much more familiar, etc. Right? Okay. Then let's look at the risks, challenges, and pitfalls. So the best thing I can show you for risk, challenges, and pitfalls, I think is, okay, I didn't have time to show you any of this. What are you seeing? Okay. So I had a whole bunch of things open on my browser tab to share, but sorry, no time. Where is this? What did I want to share? Yeah. All right. So this is the TradingView crypto screener. I hope all of you can see that. Just confirm. Right. So this is just the performance tab. Very simple. Okay. If you look at it here on the right, this thing yearly performance, I'm just going to scroll through this. Okay. So there is one thing which you can see has gone up. How many percent? I can't read the number. Can somebody wait? Let me see if I can make it bigger. Yes, I can. Oh, very good. All thanks to technology. So this thing called BTC DRST, I have never heard of this. In 1 year has gone up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 38 million%. If can anybody understand that number? Please let me know. Okay. So if you got this right, you made 38 million%, right? The next one was 27 million and quickly 5 million and 4 million. This is damn good. Yeah. I mean, why not? Why the hell? But again, this is like the past, right? The question is like, what will make me the million tomorrow or this year? You tell me that. What's the point? But the point is of the session is not that. Now let me flip this around and show you something else. Something that fell 400%. Okay. Something that has fallen so much. Okay, actually, this is not fair. These are just indices. Since this indices came up, I'll just make a mention of that in a little while. Okay, right. Okay, so look at these tokens right now. This went 100% off. That means you lost all your money. Okay, so this is what I said. Tomorrow morning, you could get up and see 0 on your screen. It is not a glitch. It is not a bug. It is actually 0. Right. So if that happens, then well, too bad. You had bought the wrong thing at the wrong time. Right. Vishal says he bought Cocos at 65 and sold at 6 in 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm sure you have some stories of the other way around also. We all like to say the good stories, say some bad stories also. Right. All right. Okay. So I'm showing this because, it's not the rosy picture at all. It's how much of it is a question of luck? How much of it is about study, diligence, process, being at the right place at the right time, right? And how much is luck? I think this is something that human beings very frequently misjudge We tried to think that all successes are, oh, I'm good, I'm smart. And all the things that you went wrong, oh, bad luck. Well, luck played a role in you being successful, and luck also played a role in you being not successful, right? Those of you who have not, please try and read a book called Fooled by Randomness. Okay, try and read that book, Fooled by Randomness, right? Not an easy book to digest. Anybody here who's read it, just a hands up quickly, right? It just totally changed my perspective as to what the role of luck and being at the right place at the right time is, versus this human prejudice, built-in human bias that we have, that, oh, I'm good, I'm smart. We are really not as good and as smart as we usually think as we are, right? That book will really put us in our places.
So what's the name again?
Fooled by Randomness, right? Nicholas Nassim Taleb. It's there on the Amazon and everywhere else. Okay, so the point I wanted to show you is, do you see the number of 99% losses on your screen? And I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it's not ending. 99.93% loss now, right? And do you see this on the top left? 12,140 tickers it has found on this. So how do you scroll through 12,140 tickers and know what to do and what not to do, right? This is the mind-boggling question which everybody has to answer before they say, okay, I'm going to become a rich man tomorrow, because more than not, you will go broke. I mean, and that's a, it's not a warning for the sake of warning. It is really a serious thing, right? So let me now come to the risks and challenges and regulations that I want to discuss. Where did that go? Okay. Yeah, right. So Me Too's, the Ponzi schemes, the memes, are you going to depend on Elon Musk to take Dodge up all the time for you and then make your money, or do you have a better plan than that, right? So what is that better plan, and how will you, figure it out, etc., will be the things that you have to really, really figure out. Hacks. You have heard of people hacking the crypto websites. You have heard of people's individual accounts being hacked. This is going to happen more and more and more, because it's going to become very, very lucrative and very, very tempting to go hack somebody's, it's like hacking a bank account. Okay. And most of us are pathetic at security and safety, right? We just take it for granted. Look at your passwords. If I know you long enough, I'll guess each of your passwords, right? So if that is the attitude you're going to go into the crypto world with, it's the end of it. You will have $1 million, $10 million in your account, and tomorrow night it will be gone because of a hack. Okay. So this brings me to what are called cold wallets. Just a quick thing. How many of you are hearing the word cold wallet for the first time? I know some of you definitely here know a lot about it. I just want to know how many are hearing for the first time. Okay, right? Fine. Even if it's just 4 or 5 people, it's worth it. Okay. A cold wallet is something that you should be aware of. Okay. Where is that? Sure. All these things that I have no time to discuss. Where is this? There you go. Okay, do you see this screen? Right. Sriram says he knows about cold and good, right? So how do you store your cryptocurrency? It's like, how do you store your cash? Okay. Today, like I said at the earlier part of today's session, you put your money in the bank. Is the money actually yours? Somebody can hack into your bank account. The bank could take away the money. The government can take away your money, right? But when cash is with you, it's like you having it in your purse, in your wallet, then that is your hard, or that is your what is called a hard wallet or a cold wallet. Okay, it's with you. Similarly, how do you have your digital? So by the way, all these things in the crypto and blockchain world, there's no physical reality to it. There's nothing tangible. Everything is just software code. And if you forget that code, if you forget that URL, if you forget the security string, it is lost forever. I heard about this guy who lost somewhat $10 billion of something because he threw away the hard disk somewhere in Ireland. It's buried below a rubbish dump, and the guys will not allow him to pick it up. He, by the way, he's put a consortium of people together who are willing to fund it to actually clear that entire rubbish dump and find that hard disk. He went to the world's best hard disk retrievers, and they said it can be recovered if you find the physical hard disk. It's a multi-million-dollar project. He will get only 30% of the Bitcoin's value if they find it. The only problem is the bloody city council is saying no. And he's told the city council, I will give you 20% of the damn money. It's a few $1 billion. And they're saying, no, no, and all that. I don't know what's wrong with people in this world. Anyhow, so on your screen, you see, just representation of crypto wallet. They're basically USB devices, electronic devices, extremely secure, which are designed to basically keep your stuff, in this thing physically. And it is offline, which is, it is not connected to the internet. So until and unless you plug it into your computer, then only you can then transfer it, because it is literally, literally is not the word. It is actually your crypto token sitting inside that, that thing that you're seeing on the screen. It is not somewhere on any website. It is not somewhere on the internet. It is not in some bank like your money in the bank. It is not even like your shares. By the way, the shares that you think are in your demat account, are they yours? No, they are with CDSL or NSDL. You are what is called the beneficiary holder. They are the actual holders. Beneficiary holder means whatever benefits are there, you will get, but you don't actually own the stuff. It's all in paper. It's all digital. If one day the government decides that to take away your shares, like they took away the money in Cyprus and Argentina, they'll take away your shares. Finished. Over. End of story. Okay. They'll say, mine, your shares are mine now. Right. So the authority that central authorities have, the power rather, is, we've been numbed to it. We've been fooled by it. We've been seduced by it. We've been disillusioned by it, and none of us has woken up. And Web3 is something which is giving people real options right now. Right? So, all right, I have a message here which says that please do not buy any cold wallets from Amazon or Flipkart or any website online, right? Please order directly for the manufacturer, right? And pay whatever charges for the FedEx, DHL, UPS. And I think better still, if you can go and pick it up from the manufacturer directly, that will be even better. That is because the first time you use it, it reveals a key, okay? And it is possible in some cases that that key has been opened and the courier guy or the Flipkart guy or I'm not taking any, sorry, no names, but somebody has opened it before it came to your hands and has the key that only you should have had. All right. And now you put something on it. They have that key. Once something is on it, they can take it away from you. Right. So this has happened many times. You can check online, and I want to thank Umeshji for this intervention, right? So be careful. We are all these penny wise, pound foolish people. We'll say 10% discount on this website, 20% discount on that website, right? Can you reset the key? No, you cannot reset the key. I mean, you can create your own key, but by the way, it's not like you can recover your password. You cannot recover password in this world. In Web3, in crypto, there's no recover key. It's gone, finished. So if you became mad, you forgot and all that. So there are, protocols and procedures for you to do things and keep it ultra safe without losing it. Okay. Backups of backups and things like that. There. Right. Right. Okay. So, yeah. So I wanted to just mention this about the crypto wallet, right? Before, because we are so used to having everything online, and that is not really something the best thing to do if you are serious about trading. So this is one issue with India. Okay, somebody talked about India and India trading and all that. None of the Indian exchanges allow you to transfer the tokens to your cold wallet. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Anyone here who is on any of these Indian crypto exchanges, all right? I don't know. I think one of them was fined some 56 crores for some service tax issue or some STT issue and all of those things and all of that, right? I checked when I started to really get interested in this, and there are two reasons. So now let's get into India and issues in India, right? I have not done any crypto investing in India at all. This was a very conscious decision that I made. This is not a recommendation. I'm not telling any of you who are doing it not to do it. Please feel free. It is your money. It is your future. I have only two issues, right? One is security and the safety of my tokens on any exchange, whether it's an Indian exchange or foreign exchange is not the issue. If that exchange does not allow me to transfer my tokens to my cold wallet, then I don't want to deal with that exchange. Simple. It's as simple as that, right? It has nothing to do with India or US or Germany or France or any place. So that is one, right? That's not something I will compromise with. And there's a reason for this. The reason is this: if you're playing a small game and you're like, okay, man, 10,000 or maybe 1 lakh for some people, maybe 10 crores for some people, and it's a small amount of your life's money. And if you lose it, it's not going to hurt your life. Okay. That is one aspect. Second, if you're going to put a tremendous amount of time, energy, and your life into this, and whether it is big or small, you lose it for some stupid thing of the system, which has nothing to do with you, that is not a risk I'm willing to take, right? Markets have taught me to take risks very, very seriously. I look at profits the last. First, I look at risk, then I look at process, then I look at profit, okay? If you take care of your risks, and if you take care of your processes, the profits will happen. Okay. And that's where luck comes in. If after your best risk management and process management, you still did not make money, it's just bad luck. If after your best risk management and process management, you made a ton of money, it is still a lot of good luck. So luck has to be on your side either way. But please don't blame luck in the beginning. You have to do what you have to do to make sure that you did everything you could. Okay. That doesn't mean you become a coder and become an expert and none of that. But at the level that you are, you better do the due diligence and put in the stuff that you need to put in. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time where all your multiple months and years of hard work is just going to vanish and disappear like this. Then why the hell did you do it? If you were exposing yourself to that sort of risk, you shouldn't have even started. No, just have a good life, right? Okay. So cold wallet itself is I think it should be a core foundational competence, not even just awareness, competence in crypto trading or crypto investing. Without that, you should not be doing. It's like, trying to say, I will cycle, but I will never learn how to balance, but I will learn a two-wheeler. That's stupid, right? You better know how to balance properly. Then only you ride any two-wheeler. The same thing for crypto, right? There's a question, any DEXs that do support transfer to cold wallets in India? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything in India that does. If anybody knows more information, please chip in, right, in the chat, right? I don't think it's possible to do any cold wallet transactions in India, as far as I know. I'd be very happy to be corrected. Okay, so that brings me to the second point of the India ecosystem and scenario, which is the legal issue, the regulations which are there. The government is doing flip-flops every week about what is okay, what is not okay. Okay, the Ministry of Finance says okay, RBI next day says no, we are reiterating it should be banned, all cryptocurrencies should be banned. What if India does what China did a few months back, just outright banned everything? What happens to you and your crypto holdings? There is no clarity on this. All right. Least of the problems is paying some, capital gains tax on it, whether it's 30% or the government says now pay 60%. Fine, you paid the tax, you made some money and you got away with it. That is the least of the problems. But what happens if they outright ban it, or outright they put you, and that there was something in the bill proposal saying that some multi-crore fine and some 20-year jail and something. For all you know, you'll do something completely innocently and unawareingly thinking you're doing the right thing. You cross the line as far as the law is concerned. Everything is online and everything is registered. They'll come at your door and say, chalo, we are going, right? And that's it. So these are risks that I am not willing to take. Okay, and this is for this reason, for any country where the regulation is as vague or as likely to be very onerous, I don't know whether it's worth making any money in such a situation, right? Yes, there are the big risk takers, institutional and individual, who are saying, no, all this will not happen and all that. But I'm a conservative guy. I'm a very risk averse guy. So those are the sort of abstractions. I don't mind losing money. Okay, I've done that many times in my life, right? But I do mind losing my life. I do mind losing my freedoms. I do mind having to go prove myself and give, all the people got those income tax notices some 2 years back, right? Just because you had a login registered at some of the exchanges at that time. I don't know what will happen. So I'm not willing to deal with that sort of a scenario. And simply because of that, I would prefer not to trade here. There is no gun to my head, so that's fine. So that's for India. If you're in China, then please go and read the story about just complete blanket ban and all. Of course, we are not China, but then I don't know. I mean, the parliament passed the law. That's the law. You can't do anything about it, right? So coming to other places in the US, okay, if you are a US citizen or you're a resident of US, right, or you have a US based crypto trading account, whether it is Coinbase US or FTX US or Binance US or many others, US based, clearly specifically US registered, domiciled, etc., then the Internal Revenue Service in the US many years back clearly classified crypto assets as assets and not as currency. And that gave all the clarity in the world as far as investing in US crypto exchanges. So there's no problem. You can invest. There is no issues. It's only a question of taxation. Okay, you put it on your tax records and you reveal it, right? So that's all there is. So there is that clarity that the US legislature or the IRS offered many years back. Okay, tax is the big issue in the US. However, having said that, there are other countries which are far more favorable. Portugal, you will be surprised. Okay, go do Googling up for crypto and Portugal. You will be shocked as to what you find. Portugal has allowed its banks to deal in cryptos. You can actually give your crypto to a Portuguese bank if you are in Portugal and have a Portuguese bank account and convert that to euros. All right. So Portuguese banks accept crypto tokens for conversion to euros and you can get it. And Portugal also has a very favorable tax policy around crypto. And you will see that many diehard crypto enthusiasts are moving or have moved to crypto, right? The other thing you can look at, if you're really brave enough, is Puerto Rico and El Salvador. El Salvador accepted Bitcoin as a currency and even encouraged its population to go after it. Puerto Rico is another thing, and there's some other small places. So there are places like that. And I think places like Singapore and Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan, etc., have no problems with crypto at all. All right. The places which have problems with crypto are the places that you have to worry about. So since we are where we are, you have to really take into account what the Indian situation is, or see if you can then open and do stuff abroad. Obviously, do it above board legally and everything can be tracked. So don't try and do any hanky-panky and all of that, right? So if you can establish yourself abroad through, I don't know, moving, migration, or through becoming an NRI, or you have a relative or a friend there who can help you, then there are a lot of things that become possible if you are willing to look at the ecosystems abroad, right? If you're a resident Indian, remember that even if you do things abroad, you will have to report things to the income tax authorities here and pay tax. If you are an NRI, however, then you don't have to pay any tax with the Indian government. Okay, legally you're exempt, but you may have to pay tax depending on where you are. So for example, if you're in Dubai, you not have to pay tax to anyone, right? You're doing crypto and you don't have to pay tax to anyone. And by the way, Dubai is one of the most favorable crypto regulations in the world. Okay, they've made it quite easy for crypto traders to come there, stay there, get a visa and open trading account, crypto accounts from there and trade, right? Many other countries in the Gulf have also started warming up to this idea. Some countries in Europe, Germany, by the way, Canada is quite favorable to crypto, right? Taxes, of course, are there, but Canada is quite favorable to crypto. You can look at that. So those are some of the things you can look at. So please, 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 I would very strongly urge each of you to take a personal hard look at your personal tax and legislative issues, statutory issues before you engage in the crypto world from wherever you are, right? Make sure based on your citizenship and residency, you are all clear and you're not going to get into any, it can just mess up your life if something happens, right? So there's a question, exchanges in India or general trading as an Indian resident? I'm not sure what the question is, Vishal, right? I'm talking about crypto specifically. Okay. All right. So I hope that got clear. In terms of, dealing with these risks and challenges, first of all, everybody wants the 1,000 plus, 2,000, 10,000 plus return. Yeah, but are you also willing to see this go to zero? For all you know, there's a lot of talk online about Bitcoin going to zero. That Bitcoin is just one of the biggest, grandest Ponzi schemes. There's a professor from Oxford University some 1 month back or something. Can somebody find a link and post it on the chat? Who said this is the world's best Ponzi scheme that has ever happened? It will go to zero. Okay, from Oxford, you're some professor from Oxford. So see, it's early days, right? Maybe it is a multi-decade Ponzi scheme. I don't know. I'm no expert in this. I'm just scratching the surface on this, and I'm just shocked as to what I find. To me, it doesn't look like a Ponzi scheme, right? But on the other hand, it could be the biggest opportunity that is ever there, right? So Vishal is saying investing what I'm willing to lose as of now. Yeah, sure. That's the usual popular saying, invest what you're willing to lose. Come on, is anybody willing to lose something? Why just throw away your money? No, that's a ridiculous statement, honestly. Willing to lose, right? Nobody wants to lose anything, right? It'll still hurt. It'll hurt bad, not only for losing money, for turning out to be the bloody biggest idiot in your family and in your friend circle after all of that, right? It's all great when it's fine. When it turns around, everybody say, hey, we told you, and all that. Okay. So, so I would prefer to look at stuff, in a more, foundational manner, and then take my call from there, which is the attempt that I've been trying to do for the last 2 months. And this just session is just, one part of that. So the right side of the slide, are you willing to look at zero, huge drawdowns, okay, volatility, that being to some extent tech competent? I mean, you know what? Today, I think it's more important to know code than to know English. The way the world is going, looks like knowing code is more important than knowing English, honestly, right? Especially for the youngsters. I mean, I had plenty of, my friends still tell me, hey, Musa, you can still learn code. Yeah, man, I can learn code. It's not that I'm incompetent, but then by the time you become a good coder, how many years of experience will I need? How many learnings and relearnings will I need, and all of that, right? So especially for people who are young, okay, this is serious advice to everybody young. I don't care whether you're doing biology or doing music, or you're doing astronomy, or you're doing physics or mathematics, or learning some crazy language. Learn code. It'll save your life, right? It will save your life, and it'll open a world of opportunities. And coding today has become so much more easier than it was before, right? Whether these intuitive platforms or code, which is almost like a language. Python is almost like coding in English, right? You just have to get your logic straight in your head, and it's a question of patience and time. But it is becoming a critical skill. And if not a critical skill, I can definitely say this, hand cross my heart, those who know code will make it in life. Those who don't know code will be left behind. Just like those who know how to use a smartphone move ahead in life, and those who don't have a smartphone are left behind. You need an OTP for everything. If you don't have a phone, you're like, oh, nobody. Come on. That's how the world has evolved, however, right? So whether you have food to eat or not doesn't matter. You need to have a smartphone today, or at least a feature phone to get an OTP. That's the way coding is going in the future. So please learn code. The coders are the ones who will, in a sense, really understand and take the best advantage in the blockchain, crypto, metaverse space. In the Web3 space is coding, right? All right, next, let's look at resources to deal with some of these challenges. So like I said, 12,600 tokens, which one should you trade in? I think the first and foremost, just stick with the top line exchanges which are there. There are only 3 exchanges in the world which are at the top level: Coinbase, FTX, and Binance, right? Binance is getting into all sorts of regulatory issues with many countries in the world, right? And there have been tech glitches with Binance. I am not on any of these platforms right now. I am probably going to get onto Coinbase US, right? But I would, so 2 things that I know Coinbase and FTX do, okay? So, and this is why I'm making the statement here. Both Coinbase and FTX do a due diligence of all the tokens that they allow to be traded on their platforms. So Coinbase, as far as I know, has only some, I think 3,000 tokens or 500 tokens. I'm forgetting the number. If somebody can quickly check, let me know. Okay. So at least you know that first level of filter has been done for you, and that a lot of these, say, junk and Ponzi and questionable tokens. By the way, the diligence is quite multi-level. It's tech diligence. It is who is the promoter, their diligence. It is concentration diligence, decentralization diligence. It is jurisdictional diligence, etc. Right? Can everybody put their mic off, please? Sunil, right? Right. Thanks. So since these people are already doing that diligence, you can, at least have that level of, peace of mind that, okay, something has already been done. Where am I going to read 12,000 documents from, right? So first of all, that the downside of that is, of course, that some of these exchanges will allow a token to be traded on them only after it has gained a certain level of maturity. So it might have already run up 100x, 200x somewhere else, and then it comes onto Coinbase or something. Well, that's just the chance that you have to take, right? So for me, who's looking at a conservative multi-year, multi-decade type thing, I'm fine with not catching that, early bird and who knows, dying of indigestion or whatever it is. So let it come to a certain level, let it come on these top ones. Of course, there are many others, there's Kraken and a whole host of other ones. You can look at that if you want abroad. And the other thing, like I said, I want that exchange to enable transfer to my cold wallet. If it does not, I'm not interested in that exchange, right? So many of their exchanges are also building their own cold wallets. They're also building apps around the wallets, etc. Coinbase, for example, just an example, claims, again, it's a claim, that only 2% of their tokens are in the hot wallet on the exchange itself. 98% of the tokens are kept in a cold wallet offline, right? We can only assume it's true, which is a big relief that if something happens, then only 2% goes, 98% is still safe and secure. So these are the sort of things that I really would like to know before I get into any platform. Then there are research papers, and the research papers about every crypto and everything is available. So I would refer you to the cryptotradingcouncil.com. Okay. They have a securities framework asset ratings for all cryptos, and they give it on a scale of 0 to 5, as far as I know. This is a private organization, by the way. Okay. It is an industry body which is sponsored by the players in the crypto space, and it's like, an industry body. And then one of the things they have done is put this crypto rating council together, and it's nice, so they have basically gone through a lot of details and published this very short, easy to read things about each and every crypto which is there. You can go search, and just to let you know, they have this covered for where is that? Okay, just very quickly to read this, I just glanced upon this right now at the end. 1 second. A score of 1 means the council's analysis found that an asset has few or no characteristic consistent with treatment as a security. Okay. Score of 5 means the council's analysis found that an asset has many characteristics strongly consistent with treatment as a security. Right. Scores in between reflect relative strength. Right. All right. So basically, this is something that you can do. Also, disclaimer, the score does not reflect a legal conclusion and is no indication of qualitative value of an asset or sustainability for investment or any other purpose, and is solely for use by the CRC and not for reliance by any other party. These are standard legal disclaimers. Obviously, you cannot blame them for anything, but at least there's something for a retail guy like me and you to start with. All right. So have a look at this, and I'm sure there's many more things available. And I think if I know right, where is that? Where did I see that? Okay, you can search here. There are many available. This is the thing I wanted to show you. Where is that? There is the allcryptowhitepapers.com. Okay, they have the white paper for almost every cryptocurrency. They have 3,000 white papers. So at least you know that the rest 8,000 junk ones you should not see. Now, of course, 3,000 itself is huge, right? But at least before you do anything with any crypto, go read that white paper about that crypto here. No, free resource, go read it. Whatever you can understand to some extent, get your head around it, and then take a call. This is what we talk about when we say fundamental analysis, doing your due diligence, not getting into it blindly and doing all just because everybody is doing, right? When everybody gets slaughtered, you will also get slaughtered. Remember that, right? It's good while the party lasts, and then we'll see what happens. Not trying to scare anybody or put anybody off. I'm just saying it's a crazy world. So just, take adequate precautions which are there. So this is again, one thing which at least at an individual level, you should, look at each one and get into before you look at that token as a serious investment. So 2 filters, basically. Read the white paper, go to the Crypto Research Council, and only if it is on any of the top level exchanges, then be in it, otherwise discard it, right? There's plenty of opportunity to make huge amounts of money, and there'll always be something better that did better. That's never ending in life, right? Risk management is key to surviving this in the long term. Okay. Some other resources which are there, can quickly
No.
Can you put your mic off, please, Navneet? Yeah. Okay. So some of these are just, it's not a comprehensive list. Go and look at Messari.io and Nansen.ai. These are 2 very good websites for in-depth qualitative research. You can look at Case Bitcoin. Everybody looks at, coin market cap and this, that, but that's just, qualitative stuff. There is no that's all quantitative stuff. There's no qualitative analysis in any of these, big popular websites. So I personally didn't find them very useful. Nice to say this happened, that happened. What's the risk? What's the background? What's the history? Nowhere, right? Messari is probably, really good one. Where is that? Yeah. Okay. But unfortunately, you're going to have to pay money for it. He's got a fantastic platform which is there, $25 a month if you are really serious about it, but amazing insights into every crypto out of there. And they have a very, very expensive live thing also, which is there, right? I was talking earlier about, DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. Messari is the first mover and the first resource in the world which has a dashboard for DAOs. Okay, these are the prime, most popular DAOs out there. You can vote on this if you're a member. There's a discussion paper. There's a team list, who is there doing what, etc., etc., etc. And there's also the importance criteria and the whole set of filters which are coming up. So any of you interested in the DAO space and looking to get into it, this is a huge blessing, because just by going there, if you have to find where are the DAOs, who are the DAOs, what are they doing, where would you go? You'd run mad, basically. So this is the first thing I've found, right? Which has a dashboard for DAOs anywhere on any website I've figured out. So those who are interested in the infrastructure building, the future income, the buying real value tokens, then I think Messari.io is a wonderful place for you to visit. Huge amount of data and information which is available. Nansen is another website. Okay, everybody has free trials and all that. Serious crypto traders, etc., will definitely be looking at resources like this, right? So Nansen.ai. And by the way, this is another interesting observation for me. The .com is old and passé. Nobody wants a .com URL anymore, right? All the crypto guys and the Web3 guys are .ai or .io or something else, Web3 or whatever there is a, right? So I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to figure out how that part works, because we're all used to .com and .this and .that and all, right? Oh, that's another one, XYZ, .xyz, right? Sriram says, get your crypto domain. What does that even mean? What's a crypto domain? I don't know what a crypto domain is. Please enlighten me and everyone, right? So can Musa be a crypto? That would be nice. I don't know. We'll sell tokens and all that. Who knows? Okay. So that was something that I want to talk about. What else did I want to talk about? Yes. Then for people who are interested in deepening their knowledge and etc., then here are two things or two websites you should look at. I think this is one of the best, web3.university, right? Somebody was talking about blockchain. What is this? What is, stop going all over the web internet. You will just go mad, right? Musa.eth will point to your ETH water. Yeah, unfortunately, Musa.eth is already taken. It's not available. But thanks for that, Vishal. I checked. Okay. So I hope Vishal that ETH is yours, by the way, right? And I guess you have to pay with crypto for that. If I want that domain, I can't pay with rupees or dollars and all that. But anyhow, okay, let's come back. So what you're seeing on the website on your screen is web3.university domain. Please go. Excellent free courses on a whole host of things. It'll take you hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks of stuff to go through it, but absolutely worth it. I would very, very strongly recommend this website, something that I myself am getting into. And like I said, it would be lovely to have a set of people who are aligned on the same path, and maybe you do a same module together and exchange ideas and discuss stuff and things like that. That would be nice if we can get that. And people will be interested. I know it's getting the syncing and the coordination done, which is much harder, right? But anyhow, by the way, this is that thing, one of the platforms, Solidity, okay, which is that thing for creating spaces in the metaverse. So learn Solidity, create spaces, become somebody like a web designer, SEO designer and all that, put yourself out there, and who knows, you're going to make a hell of a lot of money by selling services like that. So this is one of the big opportunities which is there, right? And you don't need school to go to this. I think, anybody who can read English and can read websites can go become a Solidity expert in maybe 6 months, and probably, who knows, charge 1 lakh, 2 lakhs per project. I think that's easy peasy. So, all of us who are either worried about jobs or not having enough money or whatever, and I really wonder, I think this could be far more lucrative than trading cryptos. I really think that this would be far, far more lucrative than trading cryptos. And what I would love to do is put a bunch of folks together, creative folks, resource folks, tech folks, and let's create a DAO around it and offer services on the Web3, right? I think it'll be way better than breaking your head and getting heart attacks every night or every morning when you see your screen on your crypto watch list and all that, right? It's much safer, much more sane. I live longer and happier. All right. Here's something for you more academically oriented folks, web3.foundation. Okay. These guys fund research and development teams who are building the foundation of the decentralized web. Join us. So anybody's got a really good classic proposal, can be tech savvy, go apply, get a grant and share 10% with me. I give you the lead. Okay. So yeah, I know nobody will. It's okay. You can still try. Okay. But millions and billions of dollars, because talent is really hard to get. Okay, really good talent is really hard to get. So I did not know that Vitalik was paid to drop out of college, but yeah, you know what? I'm sure there are some young guys here, hot shots, who like, get out. What the hell are you doing college, or you dumbass job or something like that? Come join us, right? Just have to show your competence and your interest and all that, right? By the way, even a research guy who just scrounges the net to create good research papers on the crypto, there are jobs available. Remote jobs, online jobs, in station jobs in the US, in Japan, in South Korea, in Europe, there are jobs available if you are good at researching. You don't need to be good at tech, okay? Understand this. You're a good general researcher. You read this, read that, put things together, because this is such a native and such a nascent technology and space right now. It's hard to get good people, right? So, and you know how our education nonsense is. Everybody just vomits the same nonsense and nobody is good at anything, right? So if you, even if you're teeny weeny good at something, you probably have a good shot in the Web3 space. So really think about it. All right, so that I think brings me more or less to the end of the presentation. I don't think I have anything left. Let me look at the Q&A. If there are any pressing questions. Why did this get over? Okay. Yeah. All right. Any questions still here? I'm going to look at the chat. I don't think there's anything. Before I go on to my last slide, end of the day. Yes, it is DAO time, and it is says something else I did not mention. IBCs. IBCs are inter-blockchain connect protocols. Okay, inter-blockchain connect protocols is the other thing, and that's another hardcore tech space to look at. There's a question, I think, very good one. Obviously, if you're a Muslim, on what basis can we call crypto a halal investment? So for those who are not Muslims, it's just about, halal is what is permitted by Islam and what is not permitted by Islam. So for example, interest-based banking is not permitted by Islam, right? So the question is crypto halal or not halal, right? My view is, I think a lot of crypto is halal, right? First of all, two disclaimers. I'm not a religious scholar. So it's not like I know my religion very well, like everybody else. I just parrot a lot of stuff, right? And two, though I have, tried to do some sort of deep dive, I can't say I understand all the concepts about halal haram, neither about crypto. Okay. So please don't take my views as definitive. They are not. I'm just sharing my views. So I personally think that a lot of crypto is halal. Definitely, I think Bitcoin is halal. For example, the whole idea of money itself, the fiat currency system that we have, 1971, when Nixon took dollar off the gold standard, that made money just something which is no asset backing. So when the current monetary system that you and I are happily using itself is not halal, that does not justify something else being allowed. But what I'm saying is that Bitcoin, that way, if you do a deep dive in it, to me, has a lot more sound foundation and a rock solid concept behind it in terms of real human utility. I'm not talking about speculative stuff. I'm not talking about investment stuff. I'm talking about real human utility as number one, a store of value, and number two, as a medium of exchange, right? There are certain criteria. You can go and study what is called the Australian School of Economics or the Australian money concept, right? There are some criteria, Austrian, not Australian, sorry, Austrian, of what money should be, okay? So please look at that, and you will see that Bitcoin actually meets a lot of those things, and the current financial system does not meet a lot of those things in my view, right? So I think the banks across the world, including so-called Islamic banks, have really taken people away from what is good money, and we only have bad money in today's world, right? When you can print $27 billion in a day and just dish it out, I mean, is there any sense, right? And on a very different topic, since it came up, I'm just going to spend a minute or two on this. It is really destroying human life when you debase currency and you make everything more expensive. If you read disinflation versus inflation versus stagflation and what the real purpose of currency is, today, all the governments in the world and all the central banks in the world have gone very far away from what they should be doing, which is providing a sound currency system. They have gone and shifted consciously or unconsciously to making a monetary system which is based on asset inflation. And for asset inflation, you need currency deflation, okay, or currency inflation, so that currency in real world, in real value, has no value. When was the last time you saw a paisa coin anymore? Yeah, folks, 50 paisa coin. Anyone has a 50 paisa coin anymore? Have you seen now that 1 rupee, 5 rupees will disappear in 5 years. You'll not have a 5 rupee coin also. Right? So this is, and I mean, okay, I should not have started, but okay, let me stop here. I mean, this gets me really rankled because I know what's happening to my life. I know what's happening to my family's life. I know what's happening to my friend's life. It is so subtle. It's like, carbon monoxide. You cannot smell it. You cannot sense it. You cannot taste it, but it gets you dead. And you don't even know you're dying. That is how carbon monoxide works. Okay. And inflation is carbon monoxide to our financial life, and it is destroying our lives simply because we have to work harder and harder and harder and make zero progress in our lives, even though we are so-called making more money. This has hit me more and more, especially in the last 2-3 months. And I have every intention of doing what the bloody hell I can and I hope, God helps me in this to at least get my things sorted out and see whoever else is interested and get on board with them, right? So question about halal, yes. See, things like Ponzi schemes, things like scams, things like where it's intentionally designed to defraud people, those are obviously haram, right? I would not want to be a part of it. You would not want to be a part of it, right? So I think this is another reason, if you want to be ethical, if you want to be moral, if you want to be aligned to a higher state, then you have to do your due diligence in figuring out which cryptos are the right ones and which cryptos are the wrong ones. It's very easy to make money, but if you made money, I wouldn't say immorally, but sort of participated in making a non-equitable, unjust, unsocial system more robust because of your participation, then you participated. You are an equal criminal as far as I'm concerned, right? And that makes a lot of us, right? So it's a tough question, and there are no clear answers. Unfortunately, there are a lot of controversies and confusing things, and I think that's only because people have not done a deeper dive into this. For those who do a deeper dive, I think clarity will happen. So for example, infrastructure tokens, DAO tokens, a proper cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, I would consider them to be completely halal, right? Many of the other 12,000 tokens and 8,000 not listed, those are probably like, I don't even want to know their names, right? So that is where I would draw the line. Like everything in life, unfortunately, there's no hard black and white answer. There is a lot of gray. And again, for those who are interested in this conversation, whether you're a Muslim, not a Muslim, that's not really the point, but are looking to do this in a more, consciously harmonious manner, then I will be happy to this, right? Happy to have a separate discussion on this, right? Okay. Right. So that was about the resources. Any other questions? Before I have my last.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Vishal here. I had sent a question on the chat. I have asked about taxation. Could you, are you willing to take the topic?
What's the question on taxation? Okay, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Could you have some crypto, you make some profit on it, and when some crypto, you make some, sorry. And when taking it, you are taking it in a stable coin like Tether or USDC, okay? You have to pay tax on that. I'm exchanging one asset for another and no profit is taken in INR. It's a good question, Vishal. And I think these are the sort of gray areas with the tax policy where there is really no clear answer on this. Having said that, I think this is the view the income tax department will take. Okay. The income tax department will say, you bought Bitcoin at this price, you sold Bitcoin at this price. Okay. You did it in dollars or rupees or whatever, it doesn't matter. You bought it at, say, $40,000 per coin. You bought only 0.001%, that's fine. And you sold the Bitcoin when it became $50,000. So you had $1,000, $10,000 gain. Maybe your actual profit is $1,000 because you got only 10%, right? That means you made 75,000 rupees profit. Just because you did not convert it to rupees, we are not bothered. You convert it to USDC. Point is you made $1,000 and it is India's jurisdiction. So you have to pay is I think the view the income tax department and the income tax office will take, because remember one thing, the income tax department has a agenda, very clear agenda. It's an open agenda. Their job is to extract tax. That's all, right? Now, I will not say by hook or by crook, that's not fair, but wherever they can find a way to get tax from you and me, they will find a way. So I think that's the thing they will say, because they will say you bought and you sold. That means you have realized gains. And that is a valid statement. You have realized gains. Just because it is not in rupees, that is a debatable thing. Because the question which is not debatable is that you're an Indian resident or taxable in by Indian law. As long as you have realized gains, whether it is in Indian rupees or USDC or euros or yen, we don't care. You have realized gains, pay tax. Right? So I think that is the view that they will take. Right?
Right. I of course agree that they would want their money, whatever way, but I'm not sure if there is no law stating any of this, right?
So the thing is that there's no laws around this anywhere in the world. That's the problem. So many countries are quite struggling with this and they don't know how to deal with this. So I think there's no, template or anything. See, actually, you can give an example. If you're a leasing finance company and you buy, an excavator and it's not in rupees, and then you transfer the asset to somebody else, forget all that. Hey, hello, forget all that. In the income tax law, you are taxable for perks that you get as an employee, right? You not have to get rupees for it. You are given a house by the company. You are not paying money to the rental company is paying or whatever. You are given a house, you're given a car by the company and you use it for personal use. Whether you use the car or not, you say 30% personal use. You have to pay tax, not the company. Where is the question of any rupees being exchanged here? So when that is the case, then
they also have some kind of a arrangement that you can use some of the gains that you make, capital gains, there and put it in property.
That's a different question. That's a different question. Your question was, I did not do it in Indian rupees. Am I taxable? My view is yes, it is.
Okay, right. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Also, my previous question was about you were saying you don't trade in India. You don't trade cryptocurrency in India.
I haven't traded cryptocurrency anywhere in the world, but if I do it, it will not be in India for sure.
Okay,
Not be in India, not be in China.
Did you mean not as a resident of India or not in Indian-based exchanges?
So as far as if I'm an NRI, which I'm not right now, at least, right, then there could be some challenges. If I'm an NRI, then there are no problems. There are no problems at all. If I'm an NRI, there is no restriction at all. Indian law will not apply to me if I'm an NRI. Okay. If I'm a resident Indian, there is a provision under the LRS, the Liberalized Remittance Scheme, to send money abroad for investing. It clearly says as part of the LRS rules that you cannot use it for speculation and gambling. Okay. Nowhere does it say crypto is not allowed. It says allowed for investment, including things like real estate and stocks. So, well, I'm investing in crypto. So, problem with the law anywhere in the world is unless it is specifically mentioned or specifically disallowed, it is a gray area. It's a matter of interpretation. So like in India and everywhere else in the world, since it is not specifically mentioned as allowed or disallowed, different people can have different views. So under the LRS, scheme, I would say, I think one can take a chance and say, yes, I'm sending money out as a resident Indian and I'm doing investing. You should not call it speculating. I'm investing in cryptos abroad. I don't know. I'm not a tax expert, so just my views, right? I think it could be something that you could look at. But understand this, given how harsh the proposed crypto bill was in India, they might even say that if you're an Indian citizen, you cannot trade crypto anywhere in the world, like China did. In which case, then, as a resident Indian, you'll have to do nothing. You can't do anything in India, you can't do anything abroad.
Right.
So
okay.
let the law come, but till then it's all speculation.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Thank
Somebody
you.
asked, is TA there for crypto? Yeah, my answer is yes. TA is there for anything. Technical analysis there for anything which is driven by human psychology and by human beings coming together to buy and trade, whether it is crypto or whether it is stocks or it is onions and potatoes or housing or lumber or crude oil, doesn't matter. Where human psychology is involved, trading and technical analysis works. There are things in technical analysis which will need tweaking. Okay, that is for sure. A friend of mine here and in the US, very good friend of mine, we've been collaborating on some research on that. So I don't think you can just blindly apply all of equity TA onto crypto TA, right? So some tweaks are required. Firoz is asking, where do I see BTC in the next 10 years? Any wild thoughts? Well, since you told me wild thought, why not $10 million? Buy one and leave it. 10 million. Sriram also says 10 million. Who knows? Why not? Right? By the way, so we're talking about values and all that. Here's something for all of you, especially those of you interested in, monetary policy and all that. Let me see. Where is this? Go to this dtcsov.com. Okay. Bitcoin as a store of value. All right. Take a stand against inflationary government currencies. This is a token designed to be disinflationary. Okay. Don't ask me to explain this right now. We are already way 1.5 hours over time. My God. Thank you all really from the bottom of my heart for staying for so long. But you have to get into monetary policy and understanding money to understand. I'm serious about this. This is not a joke. Just like, I don't know what, I mean, the problem is in life, we are so used to paying attention to the useless things, and, which clothes I should buy and stuff like that. The really important stuff, health, wellness, being wealthy the right way and not doing nonsense in the markets. We just don't do that, right? Money, inflation, currency is the core of how our life functions, and we simply don't understand it. What is inflationary currency and what is this? What is currency in the first place? What is then inflationary and disinflationary? All these are things that are vital to life success in our lives. I'll just show you this chart and I leave it. Right? The orange line is Bitcoin, 21 million tokens, and that's it. This one is designed to reach 16 million tokens and then reduce over a period of the next 100 or so years. Disinflationary. It has not yet caught the public imagination, right? But for those of you who are looking at store of value, you see money is not a store of purchasing power. It is just a store of nominal value. If you're serious about store of purchasing power, then you need a disinflationary currency, or at least a currency that does not inflate. All right. If you have something which is disinflationary, like what you're seeing on the screen right now, this is not vetted. It's not a recommendation. Okay. All my disclaimers apply. If you have something like this, and if it works, then this could be something way, 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 way hotter than Bitcoin. Right. So this is just a heads up for all of us. Maybe Bitcoin is not the thing. By the way, a lot of smart people in the crypto space do think that Bitcoin may not be the hot thing that it is. And, like many first movers give way to the second mover, third mover. Netscape disappeared. Okay, Microsoft came, right? maybe Bitcoin will just disappear and it will not be something that anybody takes seriously anymore. And it will be something else that evolves, because this is basically a primitive ecosystem right now. When the ecosystem itself matures, and then what happens, you will see new stuff come up. So who knows? Bitcoin, we are talking about Bitcoin as though that's the be all and end all. No, 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 no. It's the be all for sure for now. It's probably not the end all forever, right? So who knows, in the next few years, maybe even few months, there could be something really, really hot out there, which is way better than Bitcoin. It's literally like, you know, a bullock cart and then internal combustion engine. What if Bitcoin is the bullock cart? And we have not even seen the internal combustion engine of currency and, you know, cryptocurrencies. Then what does that mean, right? Which one is that could really, really happen? Nothing is outside the realm of possibility anymore. My mind has really been stretched to things that I would not have dared in my wildest dreams in the last 2 months, right? Zishan is saying trade coin margin perpetual futures. Bad idea, horrible idea. Don't trade perpetual futures. The carryover cost that you pay will rip you apart. They are a scam on the public. The perpetual futures which are there in do that. That's the worst thing you could do. Thinking you're doing the smart thing is the dumbass thing that you could do, right? The mechanics of this are so finely designed that nobody will ever come to know unless you're did a deep dive into how that product works. Do not trade any crypto futures contracts. Any crypto futures products, do not trade them, right? That's a blunt recommendation I can give you, right? Trade spot and spot only, right? And right now we do not have a spot ETF, which is another big story, right? So unfortunately, because of US regulation issues, I think there's a spot ETF of crypto in Canada and in Germany. Can somebody check it out? Just see if there is, find a link. Spot crypto ETF, right? Which is, I don't know whether it's Grayscale Trust or something like that. The other thing I wanted to mention and I forgot, right? In talking about investing is when you're talking about investing, where did that thing go? You talked about so many things. I wanted to put this and I forgot. I should probably put a slide after Web3 and say crypto indices. Okay, just like having the Nifty index ETF, there are crypto indices that are now available. All right, so you can do a crypto index and put your, you can get yourself into a crypto index and trade a crypto index or invest into a crypto index instead of breaking your head on, which specific tokens you want to do, right? All right. Sunil is asking about synthetics. Sunil, later. Let's keep this simple and general for now, right? Any derivative products on crypto right now, I would be very wary of it because the mechanics of it are not in favor of the holders, right? They're in the favor of the issuers, right? So crypto index was one thing I wanted to mention. I will put a slide next time when I update this, right? Let me just end this with one thing for those of us who are really the brave hearts and are looking to do something big in this space. Go to cryptofundresearch.com, right? Ayappa, creating a WhatsApp Telegram group on crypto assets. We'll probably create one on Discord. Okay, Discord is far richer in features and all that. So I am on Discord. I've forgotten what my ID is. I'll post it before we end, right? I know Telegram, this, that, and all. Discord can help you organize things, messages, folders, forwards. Otherwise, how do you organize things on WhatsApp or Telegram? It's just one big headache. Then you want to find something, you're scrolling all over the place. I'm really interested in simplifying my life. So, by the way, okay, let me come to plans later. Let me just finish what's on the screen first, and that's the end of the last slide before I come to my plans. So, crypto fund research. Okay, this is just about what's happening in the world of crypto funds and all that. You can all have a look at it, right? Fascinating stuff. 399 crypto hedge funds already, all right? 421 crypto venture capital funds, 851 cryptocurrency funds already. Okay, and this is still early days. Forget this by type. See how many were launched every year. 2017, 2018, hot year. Then market sort of cooled off, and now this year 72 in 2021. What was really interesting is this: vast majority of the crypto funds have less than $10 million under assets. Okay, 332 funds have less than $10 million each under assets, and only 60 have over $100 million under assets. This, for those who are looking at this as a fund management, wealth management opportunity, and it really needs to be rock solid based in your concepts, in your white papers, in many, many other things. This could be a huge opportunity for people who are into wealth management and fund management and all that, right? I don't think that this is not going to work in India, by the way. Okay, there's no question of launching a fund in India. They're not even approved it. Forget about letting you launch it. But those of us who are ambitious and look at the planet as really one world and no borders, right? Then, well, there's really a whole world of opportunity. And huge increase in the amount of money. In 2016, only $190 million were there. Now $59 billion are there just in crypto funds under management. That is money being given to people who know what the hell they're doing, or at least pretend to know what the hell they're doing and are savvy at marketing themselves. And people, fools and savvy guys, give them money and say, okay, do what you want. Lastly, I would, this was very fascinating for me because I just love this. More than half of the crypto funds are a group of 5 people or less. Just 5 people. Okay, just 5 people. And usually there is one person with 2 or 3 associates. That's it. 3 people who are managing a $10 million fund, right? The smallest is more than 25, even 25 people. I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, small groups managing vast amounts of money. You don't see this even in the equity space, right? So I don't know. I'm really gung-ho on this. Any 5 of you wanting to jump on board will get $10 million. I'm joking. Okay, but seriously, I think it is a real possibility for those who are serious, who want to do a deep dive, who are connected and who want to do something in this space. Then let me know, and who knows what becomes possible. Okay. So this was like, for me, icing on the cake, because for me, it's not just about going a deep dive into this. It's also about like what is possible, right? If you can get a group of people together who are really, really passionate about this, and of course, giving significant amount of time and effort to this, then, well, I think literally the sky is the limit in many, many, many ways, right? So to coming to my last slide to end the session. And again, my heartfelt thanks to all of you for staying on for so long. Do you see our plan slide? Just a thumbs up, please. Right. So this is just, broad. None of this has started. Okay. None of this has started, but these are the things that I want to look at. One is, of course, training. That's been my thing for the last 10-15 years with Bangalore Investors Club and all that. Many people have no clue how to start this. There was somebody who asked in the chat, how do we start? And start the right way. I explained all the risks that are possible, regulatory risks, the cold chain risk, the hack risks, finding out which token not to. Is it investing? Is it trading? Is it speculation? Tax issues, jurisdiction issues. So there's a whole host of things which needs to be figured out, which I would love to do. I'm going to do this anyhow for myself, but I would love to have company or be part of a group that's already doing this. So if anybody knows somebody doing this, please put me in touch. I mean, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, honestly, right? And I hope I can bring some tremendous value to whoever I can join. So starting from scratch to very advanced practical concepts, whether it is, people not understanding, things like futures in derivatives, in crypto, and getting ripped off for no fault of theirs because they think, but it's not. a good product, right? To things like doing research, right? So let me just bring this here. You can see the PPT, right? So I'm just going to blabber out stuff and so if you have any suggestions, put them in the chat box of things that we should be doing. Right. So when I say white paper research, I mean, there should be a group of people reading, having discussions, updating others and things like that. Then there is, so one of the things I want to do is data analysis. So one of the best things about the crypto space, which is not there in equity, by the way, is all the top crypto exchanges, Coinbase, FTX, and Binance, have made all their data free for anyone. Okay. No equity exchange in the world does that. Real-time data is free. Historical data is free. Number one. Number two, they are giving you APIs which are free. Okay. They are telling people, come use our APIs and build a crypto ecosystem of yours, whether it is trading, whether it is investing, whether it is analytics, whether it is advisory, do what you want, right? So those of you who want to go more into this, so go to all the, I hate it when that red line comes. Okay. All right. Open APIs by top 3 crypto exchanges, right? So this is something I mean, this is not something that happens often in the world, but this is the whole thing about Web3. It's about the community. It is not about anyone trying to grab power. Coinbase, by the way, the original team of 4 or 5 people who put up Coinbase, none of them are there in Coinbase anymore. Okay, it just evolved as a community and a community and a community, and it just keeps evolving even right now. Fascinating. You've become a multi-billion-dollar company and the first guys are not there anymore. The founders are not there anymore. And say, yeah, fine. They went on to do something else. It's just, people in the Web3 crypto space have shifted to a different level of living life. Web 1, Web 2 was about me. I want more. I want more. I want more. To hell with you. Okay. I can exploit you. I don't care. Web 3 is truly, people have understood that unless we collaborate and unless it's a win-win-win situation, there is no going ahead. It is really a very transformative phase, like I said right in the beginning of the session, about how human beings are working and functioning themselves. They really want others to benefit. Of course, there are scamsters, of course, the bad apples, but on the overall, I think this is extremely positive. It's one of the reasons why I am so gung-ho and so happy about this, right? So open APIs by top 3, data analytics. So this is my, real passion to build. I'm not talking about algorithmic trading. I'm not talking about high frequency trading. I'm talking about really sound discovery of what to invest in and what not to invest in. And like I said, if 30 years of returns can be made in 1 year, it cannot be made just like that. You might be lucky, but if you want to be consistent at it, you will have to build processes and systems in place. And that is what I want to do, right? I really don't know what the scale of that is, but I'm willing to, go out there and scream, beg, borrow, request, invite, whatever. And that's what I'm doing right now, inviting, right? So you cannot convince people. There's a very high chance of failure, right? Extremely high chance of failure. But because I'm so enthused about the possibility, and I'm also enthused about the way the people's attitudes have changed. Earlier, if you want to get a team together, they will say, how much will you pay me? Well, let me put it out there. Nobody's getting paid. Okay. There is no money. This is not a venture capital fund. I'm not going to pay you or anybody else or myself. But I am going to put in a lot of time and effort, and likewise others are willing to likewise put in time and effort. If we make the 100x, we'll make the 100x. If we make the 0, we make the 0. It's all sink or all swim. Whether we make money or not, right? And if somebody wants to sponsor us and take a stake, hey, welcome, come, right? One thing I'm clear about, whether we make money or not, I know one thing for sure, because that's already happened for me. It will fundamentally change your view of the way the world is working and how the world is going to work in the next few months and years. It is not a decade-old story. You will see the world completely transform in ways we will not understand right now. Institutions are being challenged, governments are being challenged, governance is being challenged. Okay, participatory democracy, participatory wealth, participatory opportunity, participatory equality is something that is a real part of the Web3 conversation, right? Since as a group, we've really not evolved to that, I think this is a great chance to be a part of that and see what makes us individually and as a group better human beings, right? So that I'm very sure about. It gives me immense kicks when I learn something new, very drastic, transformational, fundamental, and at least I can tell myself, hey, I knew about that. Okay, and it's not about being better or anything. It's just how I like to do things. So if you are like-minded, and if you would love to, have long conversations, meaningful conversations, not just gossip, and board this, and you're going to put some meaningful time and effort. I have no criteria right now. Okay, all I'm looking for is great commitment and a passion, and you must have time. You may have a lot of interest, but you're so busy in life with work, with family and other things that we all have that problem, right? Time is the biggest issue today, right? If time is something you cannot put in, then there's something you cannot participate in. You can do it as an outsider or a third party, but you will not be part of the internal conversation. I'm interested in part of the internal conversation. And the, like somebody asked, what should we just invest and trade, or can we also be, I want to be part of both, right? And I want to build systems and processes around that. And I know it will take a huge amount of tech skills and a huge amount of passion and a huge amount of figuring things out, legislature, taxation, this, that, domicile, and all that. I've done some of that scratch work. I will go down the rabbit hole, and I'm looking for others who are willing to go down the rabbit hole with me, right? So that's the broadly said what we're looking for. So, we can have anybody who's interested, just ping me. My email is askmusa@gmail.com. And we'll connect. We can do that after this session is over also. Get on a call or something like that. So to end, this is the internet of the 1990s times 100, giving us a huge opportunity. Exponential growth is here, that's for sure. Exponential opportunity is here, that's for sure. And those who get on board, well, I think we'll look back and be very happy for whatever happens, irrespective, right? So with that, thank you so much for your patient participation. We've done almost 2 hours over time. Phenomenal thanks to you so much for this. I have no words to express my thanks, because in this conversation, I got a lot of clarity. A lot of things that I've been reading came together because of the session, the presentation, and all that. And I hope all of you have filled in the form, those who are interested. Sharik, just post it again. In case you missed it, we're posting the link on, sending us your contact information. And we really don't want this to be something which is, about, okay, I can walk in and walk out. We're really looking at building a serious group of people, and online, offline, across time zones, across countries, this is what is going to be required. So thank you very much. I don't know what to say, right? So I'll hang around if anybody wants to say anything, but I'm ending the session. Good night. Have a good weekend. Good morning if you are in the US and waking up right now. I know some of you are, and some of you are probably in Europe. So good evening. And I hope it was really worth your time. Thank you so much. Bye from my side.